The son dialed the emergency number. He reported his own father for illegal cohabitation. His father called shortly after. What bad luck. I don't know which bastard reported me. Hurry up and bring money to bail me out. He hid himself at the back door of a widow's house. The 2,000 yuan under the vegetable basket told his son. Dallas, who received the money, not only did nothing. He also called the police to have his father undergo a thorough transformation. The coolest thing is his dad excitedly said that the child had grown up. Originally, Dallas was born in Dark City, where people discuss changes in color without rules or laws. Each person carries several lives on their back. In this world, when people reach the age of 18, they will awaken a special ability, and those who awaken the 9-stripe ability will be the most elite existence. Today is the day of the school's awakening assessment. Students are looking forward to awakening a very good ability. Slay demonic beasts. Guard the city. Respected by tens of thousands. When Dallas entered the examination room, the security check gate kept beeping. The invigilator gestured for him to hand over the metal objects on his body. Dallas reluctantly took out his big treasure. He took out all the restricted knives and large darts. The nearby young couple was frightened and gasped in surprise. Who could this person be to have so many weapons? But that's not all. The security gate continues to beep. Dallas awkwardly rubbed his chin. This could be my steel-like will. The invigilator looked helpless. Quickly take out everything for me. I give it to you. I give it all to you. 1/3 of the big treasure was all turned in by Dallas. But when he touched the testing equipment, another accident happened unexpectedly. 9 stripes suddenly appeared on the big screen. Everyone present, teachers and students alike, were shocked. This is the most top-tier existence in terms of awake ability. Dallas pretended that the equipment was broken in order to conceal his true strength. The teacher stood there dumbfounded and said, "This equipment isn't broken." Dallas, however, smashed the equipment with one slap. The equipment is now broken. The invigilator brought him to the president's office on the grounds of damaging public facilities in Dallas. Bald Man glanced at Dallas's information and gazed intently at Dallas. You are from that sin town Dark City. If one day you have 6 or 9 awakenings, what would you like to do most? Dallas blurted out without thinking. I want to serve the people. This had shocked Bald Man to lose his hair. Is this child born in Sin Town with such high consciousness? Have you done anything for this ideal before? Yesterday, I personally reported my father for soliciting prostitutes. Does this count as anything? The president looked helpless. Luckily, he didn't see me. He watched Dallas leave, feeling increasingly puzzled. Why would such a talented person come from Sin Town? And at this moment, Dallas' home is being visited by a killer covered in blood. He noticed someone was coming back. He quickly hid on one side, waiting for an opportunity to act. Suddenly, a dagger was held against his throat. Dallas threatened, saying you better not move. The dagger is close to your carotid artery. You would die if I applied a little force. But I find cleaning the floor troublesome. The killer trembled in fear. I only wish to harm drugs, not people. Dallas pointed to the medicine chest. Go get it yourself. This made Killer at a loss. He said, I feel much better now, no need, no need. At the same time, he stared at the blade approaching closer and asked, Are you going to kill me? It is illegal to kill outside of Sin Town. The red-haired killer breathed a sigh of relief. Consider it a debt owed to you this time. What do you need me to do to repay the favor? Dallas thought for a moment. In that case, can you commit suicide? This thought completely angered the red-haired killer. Can I, as a killer, help you kill someone for free? Please help me kill yourself. Red-haired mentality collapsed. Why do you have to kill me? Because you broke into my room and dirted the floor. If you were in Sin Town, you would have died as soon as you walked in the door. Red-haired was stunned by these words. That's impossible. Sintown only has one pardon slot per year to enter the city. You are definitely too young to be eligible. Anyway, saying more is of no use. Whether you want to kill or chop me, I will comply with your wishes. He spoke confidently, but his body was shaking honestly. But he didn't feel any pain even after waiting for half a day. He glanced at Dallas and asked, "Why aren't you doing anything?" "It is illegal to kill outside of Sintown." "You keep saying it's illegal. Do you know that holding me like this is considered unlawful detention? According to most regulations, it carries a sentence of 3 years imprisonment." It seems like these words have frightened Dallas. He pressed on and asked how old Red-haired was. Upon learning that he was 17, a minor, he put away the dagger. Dallas said, "You can go." Red-haired, revived, quickly ran outside. But he had just stepped out the door. A big hand from behind dragged him back into the room. The red-haired boy completely broke down. "What are you going to do now?" Dallas was solemnly discussing the law. "You have left the room before, so I did not restrict your freedom. This shouldn't be considered illegal detention, right?" The red-haired boy was stunned. Who on earth is this person? The killer broke into the room for the first time. He was then faced with being forced to change careers, just because he stole from the dumbest person in the world. Dallas knocked the red-haired boy to the ground. He completely stunned the red-haired boy directly. My goodness, what on earth is this weirdo? At this moment, Dallas saw the red-haired boy losing too much blood. He then threw the medicine to the killer. At the same time, Dallas reminded him to remember to help me clean the floor. Otherwise, I will be unhappy. The blatant threat made the red-haired boy dare not take medicine anymore. He quickly took on the role of a cleaner, meticulously wiping away the bloodstains on the floor. Just when he thought he had gained a new life, Dallas said lightly, "I forgot to tell you. It seems like the medicine at my house has expired." The red-haired boy completely broke down. "Why are you only telling me now?" Dallas suddenly frowned. He murmured, "As expected." Every time the red-haired boy's emotions collapse, there is a wisp of light gray energy rising up. And that energy can enter the scroll in his mind. Although he didn't understand what it was, it seemed that he was a little restless every time. Dallas stared at the clumsily bandaged killer in front of him. "Seeing you like this, it doesn't seem like you've ever killed anyone. Are you sure you are a killer?" Seeing Dallas questioning his profession, the red-haired boy, Landon, was unhappy. Excitedly he said, "I just made a mistake in that moment. Just give me time. I'm sure I can become the world's top killer." "So the world's top killer is so weak, huh? Can't even handle one of my moves." The red-haired boy is still struggling powerfully. "That's because I am injured." Dallas looked at me disdainfully. "Are you sure it's not because you can't beat him?" Then he ignored the irritated Landon. "Don't forget to continue cleaning the floor." The red-haired boy paused. "Are you suggesting that you want to let me go?" Dallas looked at him as if he were a fool. Killing is illegal outside of Sintown. At the same time, the Demon Clan is launching large-scale attacks on human cities. Although there are experts stationed at all 4 demon-suppressing passes, but the human race still suffers heavy casualties. And it seems like this has nothing to do with Dallas. He went straight to a grocery store. The middle-aged man selling goods had a chubby face. He didn't look like a good person. When he saw Dallas, he pointed to the bag beside him. "Your stuff is here. We're even now. From now on, we owe each other nothing." Dallas picked up the items without a word. "Well then, goodbye." Just then, the scarred man suddenly stood up. Smirking, he said, "Goodbye? You might not see each other for a while in the near future." The moment he walked out of the grocery store, a scarred man fell to the ground. However, Dallas didn't see any of this. At this moment, he carefully examined the things in his hand. This is a demon crystal formed by the demon clan after devouring the vital energy of the human race. Once absorbed by the awakened, there will be a significant improvement. He locked the door, closed the curtains tightly, and carefully pulled a thin line at the door. The other end of the thin line is a small crossbow. As soon as someone opens the door, the crossbow will fire at the first moment. After taking care of everything, Dallas walked to a blind spot in the room and sat down, ensuring that if someone entered, they would not discover his presence immediately. Dallas closed his eyes slowly, holding onto Crystal. An excellent student openly extorts the president. Don't expect me to do things for free without payment. I won't do unpaid work. The president is confused. What exactly is this kid up to? Dallas set up a series of traps. Then he sat on the ground and absorbed the demon crystal. At that moment, the phone on the ground buzzed. The phone call was from Lewis, the mentor at school, instructing Dallas to return to school immediately. Tomorrow, the people from Demon Vanquishing Pavilion will come to conduct a diagnostic exam for Reserve Forces students. Those with outstanding results will receive better resource allocation. He also asked why he couldn't reach your father when he tried to call Dallas. Could it be that the prison does not allow him to use his phone? Minter just remembered. The teenager making the call is not just Nine Stripe Awaken, but also a person who is ready to sacrifice family for justice. The news of Demon Vanquishing Pavilion coming for a test spread throughout the school the next day. Students aspire to become the pillars of humanity. One person can defeat 10,000 demons. With the arrival of the mentor, the classroom finally quieted down. Just received notice that there have been some changes. This time, besides the people from Demon Vanquishing Pavilion, there are also representatives from the Security Bureau and Reserve Forces, and the assessment format has been changed. 5 students from each school will be selected for elimination-style exams. All students are secretly praying, "Pick me, pick me!" Even if they are eliminated, they can still show their faces in front of the higher-ups. Only Dallas seems indifferent and has a hanging high above all attitude. The mentor pointed to the stunned Dallas, and the president appointed Dallas to be selected on stage. This has also led to protests from the students. Why was he chosen without a comparison test? Behind-the-scenes manipulation. It must be manipulation. Lewis shouted for silence. There has never been fairness in this world. If you feel it's unfair, then use your own strength to break through. If you don't have it, just work hard and stop complaining randomly. Later, he dragged Dallas to the president's office. Baldman saw Dallas looking very awkward. He stammered and asked, "Is your father okay?" "He should be doing fine, I suppose." The president is really speechless. He has been thinking about the issue in Dallas these days, and has searched a lot of information. What makes the president puzzled is Dallas's father. He is a rather ordinary and average person with no criminal record. It's quite unreasonable for Dallas to enter Sintown at such a young age. Sintown also has its own rules. Once someone enters the city, for whatever reason, they cannot leave. What puzzled the president even more is Dallas's father, who has never tried to rescue his own son over the years, as if he had forgotten about him. But one thing he can be sure of is that Dallas has walked out of that extremely wicked Sintown. Even if he is just a harmless child, he is definitely not an ordinary person. This is also the key reason for selecting Dallas. He reminded Dallas that this assessment is not only about evaluating the students, but also about competing for the school's ranking. Don't go easy and let down your guard. Dallas gave him a casual glance. "How much is it?" "What price?" "The rules of Sintown." The president is so angry that even his face turned black. "I am the one who gave you the evaluation quota. In my understanding, you need me to take care of things. The evaluation quota is like a ticket. This is something the main sponsor should provide. Payment should be considered separately." For the school, the president gritted his teeth. "Okay. I'll provide 3 first-level crystals." Dallas is very satisfied with this price. He asked cautiously if there was no need to kill anyone. The president was bewildered. This is just an assessment. Absolutely no killing allowed. Dallas breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, then. Murder is illegal outside of Sin Town. The devoted son reported his father, who was secretly going on dates, to the police station. Classmate's second-generation official threatened, "I can easily help your old man get promoted with just a word." Dallas asked seriously, "Could you keep him longer?" Classmate of second-generation official was dumbfounded. "Are you sure this is his biological father?" President employed Dallas to bring honor to the school at the cost of 3 crystals. Several classmates from the same school approached and struck up a conversation on the bus on their way to the assessment. "Hello, Dallas. I am Carson from class 93. The others are Kai and Riley. I have internal news here. This assessment is actually led by Moj in secret. However, we have a small and remote population here. So, they are selecting some high-quality local talents. They are planning to establish a Moj sub-pavilion locally. Resources will be provided in the early stage by expert. After the newcomers have been trained, the expert will be withdrawn. Even if joined Moj, the status is still very high. He is getting more and more excited when it comes to this. This is a great opportunity to soar. I know some really talented people from the other 2 schools. If we have to compete, not everyone from our school can stand out together. So I came up with an idea. We'll have one person step forward as the main contender for the ranking. The other 3 will support the main contender. This way, the chance of being selected is higher." The other 2 individuals immediately became infatuated. "Of course, they chose you as the main contender. Your father is the Security Bureau Director." Carson seems confident of winning. "If I successfully secure a spot in Moj, I will only need to say a word to bring you 3 in." With a background in the Security Bureau, plus his previous statements were reasonable and well-founded, he doesn't believe Dallas is not tempted to enter Moj. Dallas asked lightly, "Is your father the Security Bureau Director?" "I guarantee you a promising future if you stick with me. My father is currently in prison." Carson guarantees with a pat on his chest. "As long as he didn't commit a major offense, I can get him out just by saying a word." Dallas quickly said, "I didn't mean it like that." "My point is, can he be detained for a few more days?" Carson was completely stunned. How much hatred must there be to send your own father to prison? At this moment, Dallas stared at the speechless Carson, pondering. Is it because the way he was provoked was wrong? Why is he feeling this way? No gray energy is being emitted. As the bus drove further and further away, Carson questioned, "Driver, have we taken the wrong way? How did we end up in the middle of nowhere?" "That's right. The temporary location has been changed to an old factory outside the city. Most people are following us, so don't worry, everything should be fine." No one noticed the smirk at the corner of Driver's mouth. Dallas, however, seemed lost in thought. Shortly, buses from multiple schools gathered together. Dallas fixed his gaze and took a closer look. Mentor Lewis had been waiting for a long time at this point. Carson was suddenly shocked. Sure enough, the genius six-striped Duke also came. He is the strongest in their school. Dallas seems to have no interest in getting to know others. He turned around and walked away. At this moment, Carson stopped him. "Although we haven't settled things between us, I hope you'll still be careful of that person named Duke." Dallas said thank you and walked towards the distance. The scene happened to be seen by the bus driver. He walked in the opposite direction. He met the drivers of 2 other cars. They inquired about how the group of students was doing. The driver had a look of disdain on his face. He has low vigilance and is easily persuaded by strangers' words. However, he also has his unique qualities. This little guy should be quite interesting. Why haven't you subscribed after seeing this? He reported his biological father for illegally cohabitating in order to be a good person. He also repeatedly said that righteousness comes before family, starting with himself. But in reality, he was born in Sin Town and had taken thousands of lives. He, however, kept a low profile, like a student. But even though he tried his best to disguise it, he could not hide the prominent identity of Nine Stripe the Awakened. Dallas was just entering the assessment field when he was targeted by the experienced old driver. This little guy seemed interesting. Perhaps he will bring us some differences. On the other side of the empty field, Lewis was giving instructions before the assessment. In a moment, the Demon Vanquishing Pavilion will announce the specific assessment content. Regardless of what the content is, make sure to remain cautious and calm. Only by doing so will you have a higher chance of success than others. He cast a glance at the vacant-looking Dallas. He didn't know if this kid could bring any surprises. Just then, a military vehicle roared to the scene with a deafening noise. The vehicle came to a steady stop in front of everyone. A macho man with a cigarette in his mouth and wearing sunglasses stepped down from the car. He looked around contemptuously and smirked. He suddenly saw Lewis standing beside him. He took a step forward and walked up to Lewis. "Lewis, what are you doing here? I have been looking for you for several years, but couldn't find you." Lewis fell silent for a moment before saying, "I'm working as a diligent gardener, teaching and nurturing students." The sturdy man looked astonished. "You must be joking. You can still be a teacher?" He only fell silent when he saw Lewis's right hand. The missing pinky finger stopped him abruptly. He took a deep drag on his cigarette to calm down. The teacher is not bad either. At least, they have a more comfortable life compared to us, who live by the edge of the knife. Then he shifted his gaze. "So which ones are the students from your school?" At this point, Carson and a few others were scared to death. They didn't even have the courage to make eye contact with the burly man. Only Dallas had a look of indifference on his face. It seemed as if whatever was happening had nothing to do with him. This also piqued the interest of the burly man. "Aren't you afraid of me? You don't eat people, and I'm not breaking the law. Why should I be afraid of you?" The burly man chuckled at this. "You're an interesting little guy." Later, Logan introduced himself as the decision-maker of the Demon Vanquishing Pavilion for this assessment. And this big guy seems to lack intelligence. He didn't make any preparation at all. He doesn't even know what he should assess. Dallas was speechless at this. If it weren't for not being allowed to kill outside of Sin Town, I really wanted to kill this time-wasting guy. Feeling the dissatisfaction from everyone, Logan chuckled. "I got it. Men should speak with their fists. Let's have a wrestling match. Winner takes it all, loser goes down." Dallas doesn't care. But the girl next to him is getting anxious. "Teacher, what should we do about that girl?" The group of students is about to participate in a competition. The winner will receive the favor of the Demon Vanquishing Pavilion. Most students are rubbing their hands together in anticipation, prepared to showcase themselves. Only Dallas has an indifferent look in his eyes. Because in his eyes, even if it's just a friendly sparring, someone might end up dead. At this moment, a phantom of a teal wolf suddenly appeared behind Logan. The 4 embedded gemstones on its forehead could be vaguely seen. Logan raised his hand, and the teal wolf freed itself and soared into the air, drawing a large circle around the area, marking the battleground. Those who are defeated or forced out of the circle will be considered losers. Then he randomly picked 2 rookies for a match. This match is related to the honor of the college. Both students fought fiercely and did not hold back. But this petty quarrel has attracted ridicule from Logan. There was no momentum. They seemed like 2 women scratching each other. In the end, one student had a slight advantage. He overturned his opponent to the ground and won. Logan mockingly teased the rookie with a smile, then shifted his gaze to Dallas. "Next, it's your turn, you two," he said. At this moment, Dallas's opponent is Duke, who has just awakened the 6th stripe ability. Duke looked down on Dallas and said, "You can still surrender now. Otherwise, Don't blame me if I go too hard later. Dallas ignored him completely, walking over to Logan and asking, "Can we use weapons?" "Of course you can. Feel free to use weapons as long as you don't kill anyone." The students watching sighed in disappointment. He really is a fool. If he didn't use weapons, maybe he could have fought a few rounds with Duke. But now, he would probably just be thrown out of the ring as soon as they met. Only Carson excitedly supported Dallas on the sidelines. With Logan's start, a surprising scene unfolded, shocking everyone. Dallas took the initiative. He acted before Duke could react. Dallas bumped into his arms. Duke didn't know what was happening yet. The weapon in his hand inexplicably fell to the ground. Then he only felt a sharp pain in his arm. He saw blood gushing continuously from his artery. The sound of his painful scream sent shivers down people's spines. And at this moment, Dallas had a dark expression on his face. He held a blade in his hand, but it was unclear when it appeared. He pushed the man to the ground. He reached out and pulled out the man's second-to-last tooth. He held the tooth in his hand and examined it carefully. Dallas does not have any special quirks, but rather, it is a habit he developed over many years of killing. Just a moment ago, Duke still had a defiant look on his face. He was only seen by Dallas once before he was beaten up. The onlookers were shocked. No one expected that it was just a friendly match. Dallas actually used excessive force. But Dallas has developed a habit over the years in Sin Town. Whenever he draws his sword, blood is bound to be shed. At this moment, Duke is screaming in pain, holding his arm. Dallas pressed against his temple. The blade in his hand disappeared like a magic trick. A dagger fell down the sleeve. Dallas firmly grasped it in his hand. He reached out and forcefully brought Duke down to the ground. Dallas lifted the dagger in his hand with a grim expression, ready to stab at any moment. At this moment, Duke was nowhere near his usual arrogance as Six Stripe the awakened. Trembling, he stammered that it was only a test. "Please don't kill me." He was clearly terrified to the core. Seeing this, Dallas directly plunged the dagger down. He plunged the dagger into the empty space on the side. Duke had already been scared to the point of crying and shouting for his parents. Logan also gave a probing nod and complimented him. "Good, good, well done, young man." But Dallas's next move left him stunned in place. Dallas was seen breaking Duke's jaw with one hand. His other hand kept reaching into Duke's mouth and rummaging around. Dallas then pulled out a bloody tooth. Dallas, who had been calm the whole time, showed surprise for the first time. He carefully examined the tooth in his hand, wondering why it wasn't poisonous. Could the poison be hidden elsewhere? He then picked up Duke and began searching every possible hiding place. However, no matter what he did, he couldn't find what he was looking for. Logan on the side reacted. He tentatively asked, "You are not looking for poison, are you?" Dallas stopped his work and furrowed his brow deeper. "Yeah, it's strange. I can't find where he's hiding the poison." Is there a possibility that he never hid poison on his body in the first place? Dallas firmly denied this speculation. Absolutely impossible. If he is caught by enemies and has no way to commit suicide, he will be tortured and would rather die. At this moment, Duke, who was lying on the ground, was filled with Dallas' thoughts. Yes. Why didn't he hide poison himself? That way, he wouldn't be tortured by this strange person and could commit suicide at any time. But then he quickly dismissed this idea. No, not right. I'm living well. Why would I hide poison? Why would I commit suicide? Logan stared at Dallas, scrutinizing. You came from Sin Town. Your actions are decisive. You have a habit of hiding poison in your shirt collar. You always carry weapons subconsciously. All these details indicate that Dallas is from Sin Town. Dallas nodded slightly. Once again, he asked the question that had been on his mind. Do people outside Sin Town really not hide poison? Logan couldn't believe it. Among the candidates participating in this assessment, There is actually a flower from Sintown. He shifted his gaze to Lewis. Lewis, do you know that he is from Sintown? Lewis walked slowly to the opposite side of Logan. Where he comes from, and whether he is my student are related. According to the rules, regardless of past sins, after he leaves Sintown, he will have a new life. Unless he commits a heinous crime, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes for a day, he will always be my student. Logan ruffled his fluffy hair. Forget it, my enemy is a demon, not a human. It has nothing to do with me either. Let's end the assessment for today. However, Lewis, the student from Sintown, may actually be capable. He broke out of Sintown and set foot in the city. Dallas participated in combat assessment for the first time. He went straight for the kill against his opponent. Logan was taken aback by the murderous look on Dallas's face. You come from Sintown. After receiving a positive reply, he locked his gaze on Lewis beside him. Seemingly afraid that Logan might make a move on Dallas, Lewis stood in front of Dallas. No matter where he came from before, he is now my student. Logan smiled and said, Look how scared you are. Well, let's end it here today. The factory inside is spacious, so you can sleep in there. Flowers that have not been ravaged by society are discussing how can people live in such a dirty and messy place. It is obvious that they are used to a comfortable and cozy life. Only Dallas sat quietly in the corner with eyes closed, rejuvenating. At that moment, Carson walked up to Lewis. Teacher, there's something I don't understand. Doesn't higher ability mean higher future achievement? Why has the demon vanquishing pavilion never looked at our ability? He regards himself as having 5-stripe potential. It may not be considered very high in the larger context, but compared to everyone present, he is still considered high quality. Those childish fights are just a joke in front of the awakened. Although he is overpowering everyone present now, when everyone truly awakens, if the awakened object hatched by Dallas is just average in effect, and their killing power is exceptionally strong, in no more than half a year, Dallas will completely revert to being ordinary. So he doesn't understand why he doesn't care about their ability. Lewis looked at the naive youth, speechless for a moment. Then he slowly spoke. Ability is indeed the most important factor for someone to reach the peak. But you have to remember, the world is not lacking in geniuses. The human race produces many more births each year than deaths. Even if it's 1 in a million, 1 in 100 million, geniuses are still abundant. But if having good ability is all it takes to stand at the pinnacle of the world, then the human race would have long subdued the demon clan. I have seen those who think highly of their abilities, only to meet a downfall. He has also seen the pride of heaven from prestigious schools trembling in fear in front of the demon clan army, resulting in a gruesome end. So the thing that this world lacks the least is genius. In front of the demon clan, whether you are an ordinary person or a genius, if you lack the combination of mindset and luck, you are not even worth a sip of water or a piece of bread. Without the determination to forge ahead, a calm mind in facing challenges, and sufficient vigilance, you will ultimately end up nothing but a joke. Lewis also seemed to feel that the words spoken today were too harsh. He instructed everyone to take a rest first. But Carson finds it too dirty, and prefers to sleep when he's tired. This suppressed Lewis's anger, which flared up suddenly. Have you ever slept among a pile of people with severed limbs? Do you know what it feels like to possibly never open your eyes again after each sleep? Being alive, and able to fall without worrying about the safety of life is already the happiest thing in the world. Learn from Dallas. He is more outstanding than any of you. Don't just come in and sit on the ground. Dallas opened his eyes, and was also stunned. What's up? Why is everyone looking at me? Then he stood up and walked out. Carson asked curiously, Dallas, where are you going? You guys are making me want to use the bathroom. Carson felt embarrassed immediately. But Dallas did more than just go to the bathroom. He avoided the surveillance cameras. He walked straight out. This is a fierce dog demon about to attack the students who are not awake. The teacher, as an instructor, not only did not intervene to help, but also stood by gloating at the situation. Lewis poured some toxic chicken soup over a group of students. While Dallas walked out on his own, he suddenly paused as he exited the warehouse. He shifted to the right and leaned against the corner. Right above his head was a delicate miniature surveillance camera. He was evading the monitor's watchful eye by staying within its blind spot. Dallas doesn't know what is hidden here, but he clearly remembers the situation he observed during the day. There is only one place in the entire factory without surveillance. Perhaps that will give him the answer. Dallas stopped outside the rusted iron gate. Leaning against the wall, his breathing became quieter. He gently pushed the door open to observe the movements inside. There were 3 people inside. At this point, they were discussing his teacher Lewis, who had just visited the demon-suppressing pass with that person. He should also be a qualified teacher. It's a waste for him to stay here. Dallas lost interest after looking. He turned around and headed back the way he came. But he thought he was moving stealthily. He was still noticed by the bus driver. He is really a funny little devil. By the time he returned to Dallas, many students had already fallen asleep. At this moment, Lewis whispered softly, "Are you ready to be a lone wolf?" Dallas paused for a moment without saying anything. He walked to an open space and sat down. Just then, a burst of barking came from afar. Dallas and Lewis, who had closed their eyes, were the first to open them. Dallas even took out a crossbow from his arms. He looked at Lewis as if to ask, "Did you do it?" Lewis also innocently expressed that it had nothing to do with him. Dallas carefully distinguished it, and then turned and walked away. And at this moment, the one leading dog demon was none other than Logan, the instructor who had asked students to spar during the day. He seemed quite pleased with his handiwork, smiling wickedly as he said, "You hothouse flowers should also know what the awakened should face." Then he loosened the iron chain he was holding in his hand. Dog Demon sprinted towards the factory building at a speed of 100 meters per dash. Logan quietly lit a cigarette. These brats are really bold. They dare to sleep outdoors. The student was brought down by Dog Demon. The teacher chose to ignore it. Dallas, however, brought up the law. Logan released a just awakened Dog Demon to increase the student's awareness. At this point, the 2 people in charge of monitoring were already dumbfounded. What's going on? How could there be a dog demon in this place? It must be that fool Logan's doing. He turned around and shouted at the bus driver behind him. "Boss, wake up! Something's wrong!" The bus driver looked speechless. "Why are you panicking? What trouble can a little demon cause? And besides, isn't Logan the one taking the blame? Can't you see the mark on the dog demon's neck? A trace left by the demon restraining collar? Moreover, which accomplished member of the human race hasn't grown with bloodshed? Can peace in the world be achieved just by studying in the classroom? But one of them is really angry. If something really happens, don't drag us into it. This is playing with people's lives. We can't afford this responsibility." The driver's mouth had a hint of sarcasm. He sat up unsteadily. He took off his jacket, revealing a dark red shirt inside. On the right sleeve of the shirt, there was a metal pin. Looking at the metal, the 2 of them transitioned from anger to respect in an instant. Actually, the activities were not bad either. Let's also see how capable these young people are. Meanwhile, Dog Demon suddenly became irritable. It began to bite fiercely at the helpless students. Seeing that it was about to become food in the dog's mouth, Duke struck the dog on the head with a stick. He stood in front of his classmates. "Don't be afraid, I'll protect you." The dog demon across seemed to feel insulted. Anger was rising from within. It bit towards the pretentious Duke. It was a critical moment. Carson kicked the dog on the head. Everyone worked together in unity. We can definitely get rid of this demon. Looking at Carson's silly appearance, the bus driver suddenly found it interesting. These two kids have a bit of backbone. But they're just a little foolish. I wonder if Dog Demon's strongest point is his head. But this kind of stubbornness is not bad and worth cultivating. He scratched his head as he spoke. But I am most looking forward to the little guy named Dallas. When they heard Driver say that, the other two staff members searched for Dallas's figure. But after scanning through the surveillance footage, they couldn't find Dallas anywhere. Just then, the bus driver said, "There's no need to look," he said, as he opened the door to the room. Dallas was standing at the door, staring at him blankly. "Would you like to come in and have a seat?" The other two were already surprised with their mouths wide open. "How did you find your way here?" "It was because of those vague and messy footprints of yours." The person asking was suddenly shocked. "So just a few footprints led you here? Are the people from Sintown all like this?" At the same time, he asked in confusion, "Why didn't you go help your classmates?" "Because you are here, so they won't die." The bus driver was a little unhappy at this point. "We won't intervene. If you don't save them either, they may die in the mouth of the dog." Dallas seemed determined. "That Dog Demon is very weak. They won't die even if you don't intervene." The bus driver said angrily, "What if the Dog Demon's strength suddenly increases?" "It doesn't have that ability. Can I help strengthen it?" Dallas suddenly opened his eyes and stared at him. "This can be considered indirect murder. If the circumstances are severe, it could be classified as murder. According to Article 75 of the Penal Code of Moj, the punishment could be 7 years or more of imprisonment, or even the death penalty. Have you had enough of life? I'm asking you." The driver looked helpless. "Have you had enough of living?" The teacher trains the students with dogs. The students are all injured and bruised under the tyranny of the vicious dog. Only one person sneaked out of the factory. He touched the remote room. The people in the monitoring room couldn't find Dallas's whereabouts no matter what. Just then, Dallas pushed open the door and entered. The sight of him being so relaxed angered bus driver. "Why don't you go help your classmates whose lives are being threatened instead of showing up here?" Faced with this questioning, Dallas just chuckled. "According to the law, your actions constitute murder, which could result in a sentence of over 7 years in prison or even the death penalty. Therefore, you dare not harm them." At this point, Driver looked puzzled. "We were having a good conversation. How come I was sentenced to death? Clearly, I intended to teach them about unity and friendship. How did I end up becoming the criminal?" Then he took a deep breath. "If I were to kill them now, would you step in to save them?" Dallas gave him a definite answer. He shook his head again and said he wouldn't help. Driver was furious at this uncooperative response. "They are your classmates from the same year. Are you going to stand by and watch them fall one by one in front of you, being eaten alive by vicious dogs?" His expression became increasingly cold, and his appreciation for Dallas was gradually disappearing. A selfish person, even if outstanding, is of no benefit to the human race. Faced with his questioning, Dallas still showed no emotional fluctuations. "I can't beat you at all. How can I save them? Do I have to accompany them to their death? It would be better to report to the police and claim some compensation for them. According to the latest regulations issued by Moj this year, Article 162 of the campus policy states that students who die while carrying out missions outside during their studies can receive 30,000 to 50,000 yuan in compensation. Moreover, those who volunteer to report the murderer as eyewitnesses will also be rewarded, and those who provide information about the murderer will receive incentives as well. If you killed 11 students, you would be considered a major criminal wanted by Moj. If someone reported you, they could receive over 100,000 yuan as a reward." Dallas's eyes shine brighter as he keeps talking. It seems like Driver is a money tree. At this moment, Driver can no longer recognize himself. What emotions are really in his heart at this moment? He is full of killing intent and staring at Dallas. "Have you ever thought that I might kill you too, so no one will know about this?" Dallas shrugged indifferently. "I can't beat you. But at the same time, You can't kill me." At the same time, on the hillside, several members of the cult, who worship the gods, were watching everything happening inside the factory. They have business elites, hotel chefs, and even beggars in tattered clothes among them. They collude with the demon clan, using various identities to cause trouble within the human race. And inside the factory are the best students in the entire northern desert in terms of qualifications. They are also the target of this ambush. According to the plan, they will besiege this group of students half an hour later. At this moment, Moj, the sub-pavilion vice master of the pavilion, received a phone call. The approximate content of the phone call is to request a passage. A convoy will enter the city from the north and leave the city from the south in about 10 minutes. They hope that Moj's guards will not give them a hard time. Master Lin knows that these cult's people are undermining the peace of the human race. Therefore, he refused them in words. But they threatened with the lives of 12 students. If he did not agree, the students would not see the sun tomorrow. Forced and helpless, Master Lin had to agree to their request. But if anything happens to the students in the next 6 months, the entire Northern River province will go crazy and sweep through your cults. At this moment, Dallas is confronting the driver. The driver was very confused. How could this kid understand the law so clearly? Why not subscribe when you see this? He did it for $2,000. He reported his own father for illegal cohabitation. Now, the dog demon has invaded the examination hall. The lives of the students are being threatened. He went to the monitoring room and made copies of the surveillance footage. At this time, the bus driver was still contemplating. If he knew the law so well, he might have become wealthy by now. When Dallas asked if he could make a copy of the video, the bus driver was stunned. He thought to himself, "What trick does this guy have now?" Dallas said earnestly, "During the assessment period, I was not aware of the test answers. So Dog Demon's entry into the scene will be judged as truly facing danger. Saving teammates at the risk of life can earn bonuses. A total of 36,000 for the 12 people." The driver obviously hasn't fully realized Dallas's confusing operation yet. After being stunned for 2 seconds, he shouted, "You are cheating! Openly extorting money from Moj! How dare you! Is this fair to other students? Selfish person! I will definitely report this truthfully to Moj. Will resolutely strike against your improper behavior. Eradicate parasites like you." Driver spoke passionately. The other 2 people in the control room couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. Such a talented and commendable person is truly deserving of having received a medal. But Dallas's next sentence immediately caught them off guard. "The money will be split with you guys, half and half." The originally serious driver suddenly put on a smile. "All right then, you take care. I'll handle things from here." The other 2 people didn't know what to say anymore. His expression changed faster than flipping a book page. Duke and Carson in the factory have been cornered by the dog demon. All they can think of now is Dallas's wisdom. He carries a knife wherever he goes. Carson is even boasting confidently, "As long as Dallas returns, I will open my mouth and call him Dad." Just as his voice fell, a faint sound of footsteps could be heard. Duke and Carson were suddenly startled. Is this man making an entrance with background music? Dallas appeared behind the dog demon. Dad slipped out of Carson's mouth. Dallas looked embarrassed. "Son, this is not appropriate." Carson was so upset that he cried. "It's too cruel. Just now, he appeared right away when I mentioned. Dad, where have you disappeared to?" Dallas scratched his head awkwardly. "I just went to the restroom." But Carson saw through this trick to deceive children immediately. Lying. Can your peeing sound be louder than a dog's barking? Dallas looked embarrassed. I'm not very good at lying when being laughed at. Both Duke and the other person were stunned. Is this big brother here to make jokes? Dallas ignored Dog Demon and walked straight past it. Dog Demon was stunned. Am I so faceless? Duke and Carson were even more shocked. Did you see that? He just ignored Dog Demon and walked over. They both felt a bit nervous for no reason. They felt safer being with Dog Demon. Dallas stared at them like he's staring at prey. I can't do that, but I can answer questions or provide information. Friend was bitten by a dog. Not only did he not help, he even hoped the dog would be more aggressive and cause serious injuries to them. Dog Demon was also stunned by this rude request. Duke swore that his head was spinning. If there wasn't a Dog Demon on the other side, and if Duke was certain he couldn't beat Dallas, he would have grabbed Dallas by the collar and shouted at him, asking if he was sick. Dallas glanced at the monitor to the side. Carson instantly understood, fell to the ground, and shook in pain. It hurt so much. I'm in so much pain. Seeing Carson cooperate, Dallas set his sights on the dazed Duke once again. Duke ended up losing the battle, with a hint of helplessness in his eyes. He gave a perfunctory, ouch, several times. Then, they lay on the ground and rolled several times. They kept bumping into the wall, exclaiming in pain. Their exaggerated acting skills make them worthy of being called emperors of the screen. Dallas nodded in satisfaction. His gaze shifted towards the surveillance camera above. Dallas then stared seriously at the Dog Demon beside him, shouting solemnly, "How dare such a fierce demon bully my fellow beings? If I hadn't arrived in time, perhaps a dozen lives would have been lost at your hands. We, the young generation under Mo's leadership, should bravely defend our land and people, taking the human race as our responsibility." The Dog Demon became completely angry listening to Dallas's speech. "I haven't heard so many lectures even in the doghouse. What nonsense are you rambling on about?" The bus driver in the monitoring room looked appreciative, even a bit humble. He was watching with great interest. "This is so well said," he thought. On the other side, Moj was so moved that he took out money in no time, although it seemed as emotionless as reading a textbook. But it should be fine. Give this kid some room to develop. The first collaboration failed, but so what if he doesn't want to work with me in the future? Just then, another person suddenly pointed at the monitor, asking the bus driver, who was still in a trance, to take a look quickly. I saw Dallas riding on the back of the Dog Demon, hammering away fiercely. He was also shouting out loud about the responsibility to protect fellow countrymen. I don't think this is an act of heroism, but rather following Mo's teachings. Duty instructs me to act in this way. The faith in Moj is eternal. The human flame continues to burn. The driver was completely stunned. Can it still be played like this? Dallas inside the factory is still passionately performing. Such a fierce demon bullying my compatriots. If I hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid I would have long regretted it. The driver is now almost crazy. Is he acting in a movie? Too much. Overacting. He quickly controlled the crazy nodding of the monitor. It signaled Dallas to stop acting. At this moment, the almost dying Dog Demon seemed to see his whole life. Occasionally transformed into a demon, he courageously went out to search for food. He encountered a fierce person on the road and was captured. After being released, he once again ignited his ambition to search for food. Encountering another fierce person, he perished. Carson and the others sat up from the ground. Is this the end? Duke has developed psychological trauma. It's too twisted. Just then, the door was suddenly pushed open. A beggar in tattered clothes suddenly shouted, "Walk with the gods, you bunch of rascals! Offer up new souls to the gods!" Carson was greatly surprised. How come another one appeared? Cults are invading the college. Classmates all thought they were finished. Only Dallas was calculating how much he was worth on the side. After solving the Dog Demon, the students all breathed a sigh of relief. They all looked at Dallas with strange eyes at the same time, afraid that he would have another fierce outburst. At that moment, the door was kicked open. The already frightened students were almost scared to death. A ragged beggar shouted, "Walk with the gods," while activating his own awakened object. You brats shall all be sacrificed to the true gods. Some timid students had already been frightened to the core. How could a member of the awakened cults appear here? Carson said. I heard cults are ruthless murderers. Duke trembled uncontrollably, stuttering as he spoke. This couldn't possibly be part of the assessment, could it? Carson wasn't sure either. However, he knew that this time the awakened were much more powerful than the recently deceased dog demon. It seems that at present, we can only rely on someone. As soon as the words fell, everyone looked uniformly towards Dallas on the side. Dallas still didn't know what was going on. Carson and the others have already fallen to the ground, wailing in imitation. However, even Dallas can see that their exaggerated acting is too fake. Carson even winked at Dallas and said, See, aren't we very considerate? Dallas looked at the people on the ground and didn't react immediately. He just calmly said, Killing outside of Sin Town is against the law. But the cult's beggar didn't give him a chance to react. Holding his own awakened object begging bowl, he rushed up, excitedly shouting, Congratulations on becoming the first lucky audience member. But his aggressive attacks were child's play in Dallas's eyes. Dallas simply took a step back and easily predicted the beggar's move. The beggar was played by Dallas and got angry immediately. You are quite skillful. I'm sure the gods will favor you, he said. But when he looked up, he found that Dallas had already disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Dallas merged into the darkness, walking without making a sound. He happened to be in the blind spot of the beggar's line of sight. A crossbow appeared at his hand, aimed at the beggar's temple. But he reluctantly put it away. Why is murder illegal? It's such an unreasonable rule. The beggar also found Dallas not easy to deal with. He shifted his focus to other people lying on the ground. I believe God will like you too. Then he recited his opening lines. Walk with the gods' divine radiance forever. At that moment, Dallas suddenly appeared behind him. He was holding a blade, about to slit beggar's throat from behind. But suddenly he stopped. The blade only grazed the hand of the beggar holding the awakened object. The beggar let out a cry of pain. However, his fighting spirit was strong. He immediately urged the broken bowl towards Dallas. Dallas forcefully dodged backwards, roaring, What a broken law! Why can't I kill? Lewis suddenly shouted from the side, Dallas, you can kill cult people. One time, the awakened reward is 100,000. Dallas's eyes lit up instantly. The teacher is not teaching class. He asked the students to look at the corpse. The closer to the corpse, the higher the score. The cult suddenly burst into the students' assessment area. Everyone fell to the ground in a very neat manner, with fake injuries. Only Dallas is left to face the enemy alone. But the rule of no killing in Sin Town limits Dallas's abilities. He is always constrained whenever he wants to kill. Dallas can only helplessly dodge back and forth, trying to find a way to control the beggar. Seeing Dallas retreating step by step, Lewis watched as if he had figured something out. Dallas cult people can be killed. The sound traveled to Dallas, but he remained silent with his head down, entangled in a fight beside the beggar. Lewis sighed helplessly. It is not illegal to kill members of cults. The bonus for waking up at the first level is 100,000. Almost the moment he finished speaking, Dallas, who had looked awkward until then, suddenly became fierce. He took advantage of the beggar's swing to smash the bowl. Dallas grabbed his hand. At the same time, the other hand took out a blade. He lightly touched the beggar's neck with it. At this moment, the beggar was somewhat confused. The madness in his eyes gradually subsided. He regained some rationality. He covered his neck with fear and pain, desperately trying to breathe, but never had the chance again. In the end, he fell heavily to the ground. At this moment, the classmates who had regained their senses were all stunned. He's dead? Wasn't this just a test? How could someone be killed? The classmates all kept their distance from Dallas, as if Dallas was about to erupt and kill them the next second. Dallas is too ruthless. But Dallas seems to have already gotten used to this situation. He turned his gaze to Lewis. "Why did you say that policy? I didn't see it in the Moe's laws." Lewis explained. "This is a regulation that only true awakened individuals can access. Since you are a student now, you belong to ordinary people." At this point, Duke was already scared stiff. He couldn't accept the shaking body in front of him and said, "Dallas, after all, is a life. You say kill and you kill." Before Dallas could speak, Lewis glared at him angrily. Then he looked around at the timid students for a week. "Is this the first time you've seen a dead person? Do you think Dallas is too cruel? Why must he kill? And if Dallas didn't stop it, have you thought about the consequences? Let me tell you. The ones who die will be you. Now everyone sit down next to the corpses. Look at their wounds, their eyes. Keep looking until you can conquer the fear in your hearts." Carson rushed out first, cheering himself on. "I am not afraid. My dad is the Security Bureau Director. What's a dead person to me?" Where there's a first, there will be a second. Everyone walked up to the beggar corpse one after another. Dallas was completely indifferent to this. Compared to the slaughter in Sin Town, what does a beggar matter anyway? He started killing people with a knife at the age of 5. The number of people who died at his hands is not 10,000, but it's also not less than 5,000. In his eyes, anyone seen as a threat should die. But now he has killed the cult's thugs. Classmates instead despised Dallas for being too cruel. This made Lewis beside him unable to bear it. If Dallas doesn't take action, it will be you guys who end up dead. And he punishes the cowardly students by forcing them to stare at the corpse. If you don't have the courage, you shouldn't be at school. Maybe being an ordinary person suits you better. Lewis then called Dallas out alone afterwards. He carefully observed Dallas's skilled technique and wise gaze. All this indicates that Dallas has killed before. However, Lewis is curious. When was the first time you killed someone? Dallas hesitated slightly. It should have been when I was 6 or 5 years old. It's been too long ago to remember clearly. But I killed in Sin Town. It's not illegal. He was afraid that Lewis would report to the Security Bureau, so he quickly emphasized. Lewis's brewing emotions and the essay of 1,000 characters in his mind were suddenly shattered by Dallas. He rethought it. A 5-year-old committing murder. And the victim is someone from Sin Town. If Sin Town is truly like the information unintentionally revealed by Dallas, then it must be filled with fierce characters. Lewis looked at Dallas with a serious and solemn expression. His gaze was somewhat complicated. He subconsciously wanted to light a cigarette for himself. "You are the most outstanding student I have encountered in these years. As long as your awakened object is fine, you will soon stand out and become a peerless genius of your generation, and the kind that can survive. I will not comment on your past. But as a teacher of the human race, I hope you will be kind. Never point your weapon at the human race. Even if you can avoid harming yourself, try to save some people if possible. Consider it as a tribute to the spirits who laid down their lives for the human race on the demon-suppressing pass." Dallas calmly looked at this teacher he had known for a few months, seeming to bring him a different feeling. He whispered softly, "I will try." Lewis, although didn't get the answer he wanted, seemed all right. At least this solitary teenager had some thoughts about his words. But just at this moment, Dallas suddenly said, "I'm going to consider myself a hero today. Not a single penny of Moe's bonus can be lessened." Lewis felt offended. "Okay. If you save someone in the future and Moe doesn't pay you, I will." Dallas nodded and then walked towards the control room. Logan, however, emerged from a nearby corner. He said to Lewis, "I've taken care of the small fries outside. I've also observed everything inside. This kid is not bad." He joked with Lewis, "But don't delay the assessment reward for this kid, or he might get angry. If he thinks you've embezzled his property, he..." Lewis suddenly felt a chill. This matter really needs to be taken care of promptly. Otherwise, if this ruthless person rises up in a few years, he might really come after me. At this moment, Dallas arrived at the control room. The bus driver warmly greeted him. His demeanor was reminiscent of a fawning little dog. "Come in. I've handled everything." "Actually, this time you saved them twice. I can go back and edit the videos separately. Let's make double the money." But Dallas firmly refused him. "The employer wants me to protect them. Asking for money separately is not following the rules. This kind of person often dies quickly." The driver didn't expect Dallas to be quite honest. "Let me know if there's any future cooperation. No one can stop us from getting rich. Let's take them down together." Dallas stared grimly at him. "I've said that murder is illegal. If you have thoughts of killing someone, I will report you to Moj." The driver awkwardly scratched his head. "He said he was determined to negotiate with you." Dallas, however, doesn't think so. "It seems like I'll have to consider partnering with someone else in the future. Rule number 3 of survival in Sin Town: never walk too closely with fools." The group of students were punished by the teacher to watch a corpse. If anyone can't handle it and withdraws, they will be expelled. At this moment, the bus driver walks in from outside. Announcing the end of the assessment, everyone can go back and wait for the results. The students who were worried all night suddenly burst into smiles and laughter. On the way back, Carson suddenly nudged Dallas next to him and said, "I'll take care of that thing for you when we get back." Dallas was stunned for a moment and didn't react at first. But soon his eyes lit up. He solemnly patted Carson on the shoulder. "You are my good brother from now on." Carson was so moved that he almost cried upon hearing these words of being a good brother. He finally felt recognized. And this sense of recognition came so quickly and suddenly. At that moment, Dallas on the other side was also tapped. Duke stuck his head out and said, "I want to team up with you. Can you teach me how to kill?" Dallas was stunned. "You guys are so eager to kill," he said. "Why are you all thinking about killing? It's illegal to kill." At the same time, he wondered if the people in Sin Town were a bit friendlier. In just a few days, he had met several people who talked to him about killing. Duke was a bit confused for a moment. "I'm not very good with words. What I mean is I want to become stronger. Like you." Dallas thought for a moment. Speaking with profound sincerity, he said, "You might become bald. Then you will become strong." The bus returned to the school. The driver hurriedly ran towards Dallas. "You see, our break is almost over. Should we go back for the reward money?" Dallas glanced at him speechlessly. "How could you be more eager than me? We just got off the car." The driver chuckled and said, "Then you should rest first." He followed Dallas to the president's office without leaving his side. The president explained that the assessment results have not been released yet, and the specific ranking is also uncertain, so Dallas's compensation is being postponed. Dallas is not a lenient parent. He turned to the bus driver and asked, "What ranking do you think is best for me?" "First place." "You must be first." "Okay, now I'm first." The president looked puzzled. "Are you kidding me? What do you mean by being first? Do you think you can just be first by touching your lips together? And who is this person anyway? He's not a big shot either. It seems like this time he has the final say in the assessment." The president's attitude suddenly did a 360-degree shift. He reached out and held the driver's hand as if they were old friends for many years. "Oh, it turns out you are a leader from the province. I'm really sorry. Look at you, young and promising from the province. And so handsome, I must say. Unlike our small place," the president said with a hint of melancholy on his face. Let out a light sigh. "No money, no resources. We can only watch one after another talented individuals leave due to lack of resources. I, as the president, feel distressed about this because of our lack of resources." At the same time, he instructed the director beside him to quickly serve tea to the leaders. Then, have the cafeteria prepare a table of delicious dishes. Today, I will have a heart-to-heart conversation over drinks with the leader who came down from the province. I believe the leader will also see the difficulties we face and allocate funds to us. He asked a question. I'm not sure which department the leader is in charge of. The driver, who was being buttered up, was a bit confused. He blurted out, Reserve Forces. The smile on the president's face gradually froze. He slowly let go of the hand he was holding. And he even snatched the hot water that had just spilled. It turns out to be the Reserve Forces. Forget what I said earlier. This bald man is definitely the top-tier pickup artist. He buttered up the bus driver so much that he was completely flattered. When he found out that the driver had no value to offer, his attitude immediately made a 180-degree shift. Why didn't you say it was the Reserve Forces earlier? I thought it was the big boss coming. Dallas doesn't buy into his tricks. He directly reached out to demand his own compensation. Shouldn't the things promised to me be given to me? The president still wants to procrastinate. Even the lowest level demon crystal in this world is valuable. He is also a little reluctant to give Dallas 3 at once. Dallas stared at him blankly, making him feel uneasy. He had heard about Dallas's performance during the assessment. Maybe this tough guy will stand up and fix himself in the future. He helplessly took out 3 demon crystals from his pocket and gave all of them to you. He looked like he had never seen the market before. Dallas, who received the demon crystal, had no desire to listen to Bald Man ramble on any longer. In the roar of the president, Dallas walked out of the president's office. Then his phone rang. Carson called, saying with a smirk, Your old man is quite a tough character. When I went to see him today, I found out he wasn't even locked up in the prison cell. He even showed his palm to a few policewomen. Such treatment, I've never seen it before. But I'm really smart. Under my arrangements, your old man has successfully become a lascivious crime suspect. At least for the next year, don't even think about him getting out. And I specifically instructed to change to a private room for your old man, ensuring that no female can come into contact with him. Dallas's eyes lit up upon hearing this. A true brother for life. At this moment, Dallas felt particularly comfortable. He and driver arrived at the Moj branch in the provincial capital. Bus driver looked proud and sassy. How's the presents? Such a grand display. Do you want to take photos to remember this moment? But Dallas seems to have noticed that something is a bit off. Originally enthusiastic ticket window staff. She was suddenly shocked when she saw the bus driver come in. She hurriedly picked up the phone. The lunatic is back. Why does he never stop? The driver walked to an empty counter every time. There was a sign saying, Service temporarily paused, placed there. This left some people who were there to conduct business confused. What is going on? Everything was going smoothly. Why is it suddenly closed? The bus driver awkwardly stood in place. His reputation here is not very good. He is a habitual offender who deceives and blusters. These staff members have long been on high alert against him. While Dallas quietly turned away, looking at him with a very complex look. It seemed like everything had been said. Maybe if he had come 1/3 of the time, he would have taken away the reward for being courageous. Bringing this guy along. It's probably completely hopeless. People who talk too much are not reliable. Sintown really didn't deceive itself. This is definitely the worst time Dallas has been screwed over. He thought that performing a heroic act could earn him some bounty points in Moj. But he didn't expect that the bus driver was unreliable. He has a bad reputation in Moj. Wherever he goes, the windows are all marked as temporarily closed. Dallas felt he had misjudged once again. At this moment, a lively young lady politely asked if services could be processed now. Our boss was seriously injured while carrying out a mission. He is currently lying in the hospital. We want to claim the bonus to help our boss. As soon as the staff heard this, they immediately put away the sign indicating suspension of services. Little sister, please don't worry. First, please explain the specific situation. At this time, Ponytail Girl was crying tears. I heard that you can earn a reward by fighting cults and then saving people. If our boss dies, we won't survive. He fights for the human race. You can't ignore him." The staff hurriedly comforted her emotions. "Don't worry. I'll help you verify this policy immediately." She soon found the policy. But you also have no evidence to prove it. The process in which your boss got injured. After all, who would record a video during a battle? Just then, a USB drive was pushed in. The staff were a little stunned for a moment. It turns out that there is one. She checked the process on the computer. 3 men appeared in the video. They shouted passionately with great enthusiasm and charged towards a man in a suit. Several people started to fight in a flash of lightning and fire. After a loud explosion, the 3 people helped each other as they walked out. At this moment, Ponytail Girl once again staged the tear strategy. "Miss, please. If you delay any longer, the captain will die." The clerk was caught in a dilemma. After a long time, she gritted her teeth. "I don't have the authority. Wait for me. I'll go find the leader right away." After saying that, she turned around and ran inside. The bus driver who watched the whole thing was stunned. Can this also be done? And is such a creative woman? Dallas, on the other hand, looked at him softly. It's as if she's doing the same kind of business. Why is their packaging so sophisticated, while yours is so unprofessional? The driver seemed to be unable to bear Dallas' disdainful gaze. He reached out and messed up his own hair. The whole person also became a bit bitter. He staggered towards the counter. A man in his 40s managed to squeeze out some tears. "Sister, please save me. I have some information here too. Our boss is about to die soon. He is really pitiful. His arms and legs have been beaten to a pulp. Only his head is left hanging there. If you don't give me a pass, it will be considered as murdering the reserve force's commander. That would be a serious crime." He was patting the counter and appeared very agitated. He even looked a bit crazy in his eyes. He signaled Dallas to cooperate with him. The money must be collected today. But Dallas stared silently behind him. "If I'm not mistaken, the person behind you should be your boss, right?" The driver was suddenly scared out of his wits. The importance of having a teammate with brains. Others just edit videos and add background music. It's super cool. In Dallas, they don't even have the qualifications to speak up. They were just messed up by the driver. His flamboyant performance left Dallas all at sea. He is really pushing it. However, if I'm not mistaken, the person behind you should be the boss you mentioned. The bus driver broke out in a cold sweat. But his response was quite quick. He forced a smile. "My boss is mighty and domineering. Fearless from head to toe. He can defeat a demon in 10 steps and travel 1,000 miles without stopping. How could he die at the hands of a mere demon?" The staff immediately became angry and ashamed. "Do you think this is a charity organization where you can freeload? It's really careless of me to listen to your nonsense for so long." Next. At this moment, the person behind the driver spoke up. "According to what you just said, am I the only one left with a stubborn head still alive?" The driver turned his head with difficulty and said, "What a coincidence, boss, you're here too." He saw his boss's expression becoming more and more icy, with a hint of restlessness. The driver quickly explained, "Boss, listen to me and let me argue with you." He grabbed his boss's thick arm and tried to pull him to the side, but he couldn't move him. He could only jump up and quickly say a few words near the boss's ear. The boss, who was still very imposing a second ago. The next second, his gaze fell on the calm Dallas. His bulb-like eyes were shining brightly. Is he really that awesome? He saw a driver nodding so confidently. The boss's expression toward Dallas changed. He didn't expect Dallas to be a big moneybags. He walked slowly towards Dallas and said, "Hello, I am Matthew." Then he patted Dallas on the shoulder. He didn't say much. "If you have any grievances in the future, just tell me directly. I will send a whole battalion to deal with it. Dallas moved his body slightly outward. I don't like fighting. I just like to make some extra money. Matthew slapped his chest with a loud sound. Look at me. If I can't withdraw the money today, I'll share your last name. Dallas became even more silent, with the same tone and the same actions as the driver. He seemed a bit hasty himself. He really should have come alone. Maybe there's still a chance to get the money. At this moment, and looked at the resolute Matthew and couldn't help but worry. Will these fools from the reserve forces ruin my good fortune? The staff called for the manager of the Moj branch. At this time, Matthew pushed aside and beside him and said, Let me handle it first. Haven't you heard what my subordinate said? I'm on the verge of losing my head. The responsible person was speechless. Clearly, he is a hero who has shed blood and made great contributions to the human race. But he comes and acts like a rascal every now and then. He reassured with a phrase. Wait for me to handle it. Let me finish the work first, and then I will solve your issue. Then he looked towards and on the side. So, it turns out they both appeared at the same time. He pointed at the two people and yelled at the staff. You are newcomers, right? Remember these two faces. Put both of them on the blacklist for incoming visitors. They are all here to scam money. Dallas sighed inwardly. People outside of Sin Town are really unreliable. This group of people really gives Dallas a hard time. He thought he could easily claim the bounty. Now he has been directly blacklisted by Moj. Dallas sighed again. Sure enough, people outside Sin Town are unreliable. Matthew was extremely embarrassed face. He angrily shouted to stop the responsible person. You're talking nonsense. Who's here to scam money? Then he chuckled and hugged Dallas. Do you know who this is? Responsible person frowned slightly, with a solemn expression. Matthew is the commander of the Northern River Province Reserve Forces, level 6 the Awakened, although a bit silly. But we have to admit that his status is very high. To be able to have someone of this level introduce him personally, could it be a big shot from above? I don't know who this person is. At this moment, Matthew is quite proud. It's as if Dallas next to him is the important figure he's trying to please. This is my good younger brother. He has shed blood for the human race and killed demons for the human race. Why doesn't he get paid for saving people with his skills? Do you want me to lose face in front of my brother today? Believe it or not, I will strip off your pants and hang them at the Moj gate for a day. I thought he was a king. I didn't expect him to be a king in words only. The responsible person adjusted his tie. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Allowing this brat to come to me every day. Robbery without end, right? Come on, let me see how you deal with me. A brute from the academy. Matthew's sleeves were immediately rolled up. A roar came out of his mouth. A pattern even appeared on his forehead. Your school is awesome. A bunch of trash. I won't beat you today. I'm sorry for the school's cultivation of me. The two faced off against each other. It seems like they were about to start a fight the next second. Just then, Dallas cleared his throat twice. Can I say something? According to the Moj Penal Code, those who fight without reason in the city as the Awakened will face 15 days of detention and a fine of 10,000 yuan. Those with a greater impact will be detained for more than 6 months. A public security fine of 100,000 yuan. Upon hearing this information, Matthew instantly wilted. Isn't this going to kill me? Dallas then turned his gaze to Moj's staff. I am applying for a transaction. If there is unreasonable delay or refusal to serve, I have the right to ensure my legitimate interests under Article 32 of the Consumer Rights Protection Law. Looking at the well-behaved Dallas Matthews sitting in front of the platform, and the bus driver, both fell silent. Are you sure this kid is mentally normal? Can money be obtained this way? Dallas handed the USB drive to the staff. The scene clearly shows Dallas fighting with Beggar. But the video seems to have editing traces. Dallas admitted directly. There was indeed editing. but you can arrange for a special agent to analyze the situation on the field. The strengths of both sides are not balanced. If I don't take action, the student union will lose. So coming to the rescue is justified. When Dallas has more to say, the responsible person on the side spoke up directly. Grant him permission. Pay out the bonus according to the monetary standard. The staff didn't dare to delay and quickly approved the review. The bonus will be credited within 3 working days. Dallas did not leave, but instead walked up to the responsible person and asked, "Can I know why?" "The bounty that others were trying to trick out of you." Dallas effortlessly got his hands on it. He just couldn't figure it out. His exaggerated acting and clumsy editing were obvious signs of deliberate posing. He asked the man why he let him pass. The responsible person, however, asked if Dallas had considered working at the Shadow Pavilion. Dallas shook his head. He doesn't have plans in that direction for now. The responsible person directly took out a business card and handed it to Dallas. "My last name is Lin. I am the Vice Master of the Northern River Province Moj Branch. Trust me, your income will be much more than this once you join the Shadow Pavilion." Upon seeing this, Matthew became anxious. He pushed away Master Lin's business card. "What are you scheming, you old cunning fox? Don't think I don't know what you're up to. This is someone from our reserve forces. It hasn't been easy for a smart person like me all these years." His only response was a scornful laugh. "The reserve forces is a camp for fools. Who would go report to you guys?" He left only Matthew standing there, seating in place. Then he turned to Dallas, flattering him. "This time was unexpected. We are still reliable. Although we may lack brains, we are definitely not slack when it comes to action. Just say the word and we'll do it, as long as you pay. In case there is another chance for a profitable deal, please consider us as your priority. We, the reserve forces, are truly fearful of being poor." He then pulled the bus driver and walked outside. He really couldn't stay in this place any longer. The driver, not giving up, said, "Boss, I haven't received the money yet." Matthew's face was very dark. "How dare you ask for money? You messed everything up. Dallas just returned to school over here." He was intercepted by Carson, who was waiting here early. He was crying and complaining. "You're back. The school has changed during the days you were away. We won the assessment. The other 2 schools that were causing trouble every day are now discontented. But now that you're back, the 2 of us joining forces will definitely cause chaos together." Seeing him like this, Dallas made a miraculous joke. "Which one are you responsible for?" Carson awkwardly didn't know how to respond and had to change the subject. "Lewis is waiting for you at the breakfast shop over there. Let me pass on the message to you." Dallas wondered why Lewis was looking for him. Is it to have breakfast together? As soon as he walked into the breakfast shop, Lewis pointed to the owner next to him. "Have you seen this person before?" Dallas looked and said, "The owner of the breakfast shop. Is he your relative?" Lewis was surprised and exclaimed, "How can this kid have such a strong mentality?" He took a sip of soy milk to cover his embarrassment. "What do you think of this person?" Dallas was stunned this time. "What do I think?" he pondered. Lewis didn't know what to say. This person used to be in the reserve forces. He practiced hard for 2 years in the reserve forces. Later, he was stationed at Dawn Pass. But unexpectedly, on the 3rd day after his arrival, he encountered a night attack by the Demon Clan. His leg was also broken during that sudden attack. Lewis's eyes were solemn as he spoke. He had trained hard for 2 years, but ended up on the battlefield for less than 3 days. "I'm just trying to tell you that the human race is far from being as optimistic as it seems today. If you were to encounter someone who sacrificed their life for the human race and faced danger in front of you, would you lend a helping hand?" Dallas looked bewildered. "I don't know. There is no reason to save people in Sin Town. I have seen with my own eyes people who were rescued pick up a knife from behind. I have also seen one man sacrifice 3 lives for a blood-soaked steamed bun. I don't even understand why people would want to protect others. Isn't this world all about self-interest? Teachers care about their students. But the students pick up knives to guard against them. Because the closer they appear in Sin Town, the more likely they are to stab you in the back. Dallas has seen rescued individuals turn their knives on their saviors. He has also witnessed 3 lives lost over a blood-stained steamed bun. Lewis sighed as he watched Dallas and stood up. Maybe I shouldn't force you to do anything. Because this world has never sheltered you. He patted Dallas on the shoulder as he spoke. And why should I make you protect the world? But what Lewis didn't expect was, the moment he touched Dallas's shoulder, Dallas had already taken out a blade without knowing when. As long as Lewis dared to make a move. The moment he touched Dallas's shoulder, Dallas had already taken out the blade at some point. As long as Lewis dares to make any move, Dallas can deliver a fatal blow to him at the first moment. Seeing Dallas in this state, Lewis suddenly felt a pang of heartache for some reason. He did not know what kind of experiences could shape a person like Dallas. He lit a cigarette and changed the subject. Let's talk about something else. Do you have any friends? What surprised Lewis was Dallas' response. Such a lonely and independent teenager actually had friends. But she still had 307 days left in Sin Town before she would come out. Lewis took the opportunity to ask, "What if you were being chased? What would you do?" Dallas casually replied, "Kill them, of course." If everyone in the world killed her, Dallas almost immediately blurted out, "Then I'll kill everyone in the world." Lewis fell silent for a moment. He turned to look at the owner of the breakfast shop. "He is actually doing the same thing as you. The difference is that you are protecting your friend, while he is protecting the people of the world." Dallas nodded thoughtfully. Could this be what they call protection in legends? Lewis, slightly moved upon seeing Dallas, prepared to take him to a place. Here is a veterans camp where everyone has something in common. Some have lost a hand. Some have lost both legs and can only sit in a wheelchair. Some walk with a cane because they have lost both eyes. I see Lewis's figure. One middle-aged man leaning on a cane shouted with a smile, "You're just missing a finger. Why do you keep coming to our veterans camp? Are you so poor that you want to mooch off disabled subsidies?" Lewis smiled and said, "I'm taking my students out for a walk." The middle-aged man with a goatee patted Dallas on the shoulder and appraised, "This student looks good." And at this moment, Dallas. He fixed his gaze on the small advertisement inside the middle-aged man's clothes. Dallas got close to him. According to Moj civil law, openly selling illegal videos will result in a detention of 15 days and a fine of $2,000. The man with a goatee broke out in a cold sweat. "What do you mean by this?" Dallas silently extended 3 fingers. $300, and I'll keep your secret," unknown_0 said. The man with the goatee froze, then became furious. "Did you come to my turf to rob me, unknown_0? The elder who sells pornographic DVDs. He turned out to be a famous hero of the human race. But he ran into the law-abiding Dallas. Dallas caught the elder and, according to the Moj civil law, will be detained for 15 days for openly selling illegal videos, and fined $2,000. The elder was also stunned. "Don't get excited. What exactly do you mean?" Dallas extended 3 fingers. "I only need these." Elder saw that things were not good, so he greeted Lewis with a nod. "You guys wait here for me for a while. I see that you, this amazing student, have extraordinary talent. I want to personally train such a rare genius." He then pulled Dallas into a secluded corner. Elder glared with widened eyes and said angrily, "You are too ruthless. $30. Are you trying to kill me?" Dallas, however, stared blankly at Elder in disbelief. "I said 300. Elder's voice suddenly raised. "You, unknown_0, are crazy. Do you know how much I earn in total from selling those DVDs? You are asking for $300 just to go from lip to lip." Surprisingly, Dallas knows the market better than he does. The DVD supply point is on the east side of Northern Desert City, at a shop called Brown Video Store, which sells children's cartoons. The cost price is $1 per DVD, so you can still make $800. Watching Dallas calculate so accurately, Elder was so furious that he gritted his teeth and trembled all over. He wanted to hit him, but didn't dare to. If he did, his DVD selling business would be exposed. It's embarrassing if word gets out. More importantly, he sells counterfeit goods. However, he couldn't bear it anymore. $200. This is the highest price I can offer. If you disagree, you can tell Lewis, it doesn't matter. I can even throw away this old face of mine. With a rogue look and that goatee, he looks slick. No matter how you look at it, he doesn't seem like a good person. Dallas, however, did not intend to negotiate. Instead, he silently took out his phone. According to the Moj civil law, he was detained for openly selling intimate videos. He was sentenced to 15 days in detention and fined $2,000. According to the Administration of Industry and Commerce penalty regulations, selling counterfeit goods incurs different fines based on the seriousness of the circumstances. If the offense is more severe, it could be considered fraud. Reporting this could result in a reward of 5,000 yuan. Elder is like a spiky hedgehog who snatched Dallas's phone and held it tightly to his chest. This is unethical. When it comes to underworld matters, let them stay within the underworld. Involving the authorities is not right. Am I making some easy money in this coffin business? Would it be embarrassing if people found out about Sonny's old face? Meanwhile, Dallas looked innocently at the phone in Elder's arms, which is still ringing. At this moment, an excited voice came from the phone. Are you really Sonny? Elder blushed. You've got the wrong person. I was just bragging. How could I possibly be the great hero Sonny of the human race? He quickly pressed the hang-up button as he spoke. In just half a minute, Sonny broke out in a cold sweat. The situation had taken a turn when he looked back at Dallas. This little guy was quite ruthless. Unknown_0 and I, two old folks, were playing for real. As the saying goes, sky-high asking price, counter with a low offer. I was just testing the waters by offering a lower price, and he immediately turned hostile. He tremblingly reached into his pocket and pulled out 3 brand new red bills. I am a hero of the human race. I have been guarding the demon-suppressing pass for 30 years. The blood I shed for the human race is more than what flows in your body. But Dallas didn't listen to his nonsense at all. He directly snatched the money from him. Lewis in the distance watched the two of them. It seems like Sonny likes Dallas. Indeed, he is a student I value. This kid is really capable. The deal was completed, and Sonny walked back angrily. Lewis, you have really taught a good student. Every word he said was full of resentment. Lewis humbly touched his head. Thank you for Sonny's praise. I will continue to work hard. This made the elder extremely angry. Are all the reserve forces soldiers fools? They can't even understand plain words. Dallas didn't earn money for nothing. In fact, you can change the business model. Replace the DVD content with anti-fraud propaganda videos. This way, you won't have to worry about being reported. Elder, that makes sense. This kid has some skills in making money. He approached me with a sly look. If I switch to making anti-fraud videos, will YouTube promote it? This is the hero cemetery of the human race. They all died in battle fighting against the demons. 4 of the graves have already been marked to indicate occupancy, while the last one remains empty. The empty grave belongs to the elder who sells DVDs, who reserved a high-end Western-style house for himself. Dallas just scammed Elder out of $300. He was then led by Lewis to Elder's ancestral grave to stir up emotions. Lewis had a particularly holy look in his eyes at that moment. Everyone remembered a saying from back then. You can always trust that as long as Sonny is a demon-suppressing pass, there will be no worries. Unfortunately, heroes always come to an end. In order to kill Sonny of the demon clan, a great price was paid. They even secretly cooperated with the cults. Although Sunny is still alive, the awakened object is shattered. Even as Sunny was leaving, he was smiling and saying that he had made a great deal exchanging for 2 demon kings. With a sincere look, he looked at Dallas and said that there are many ways to live life. I'm not saying that the path you are currently on is wrong, but the human race really needs geniuses, strong protectors for the race. Perhaps I have experienced and seen too little. But you are already the most outstanding young person I have ever seen. I have a feeling that in the future, you will soar high. And what surprised Lewis was that, although Dallas was desperately controlling his hands, this time he did not brandish the blade like he did last time. And at that moment, a gruff voice selling DVDs could be heard in the distance, saying, "Don't be sentimental here. This is my ancestral grave, not your zoo." Dallas was called to the president's office at school once again, but this time the president had a specific purpose in mind for the conversation. During this year's final exam, do you have confidence in entering the top 10 in the province? Dallas said he didn't know. This surprised the president. Usually by this time, shouldn't he have been negotiating prices? Why is there no mention of it today? But Dallas has always quietly followed the rules of Sin Town. Without clear intelligence, one should never be overconfident or take uncertain actions. The president doesn't want to pass up the opportunity to show up at the school this time. He stroked his chin in contemplation. Aim for the top 100. For each spot you move up, I'll give you an extra $100. If you get first place, I'll give you a bonus of $10,000. He looked hesitant, as if he had made a big decision. But Dallas didn't even consider it. He just turned around and said goodbye. This made the president unable to sit still. He quickly blocked the door, as if he was afraid Dallas would run away. This is not enough. If the price isn't right, we can negotiate further. How about this? I bring up another idea. I'll make a bet with the education department's leadership. If our school achieves a provincial ranking, the leadership should allocate some resources. How about we split it 70-30? Dallas looked at the president with a complex expression in his eyes. He thought carefully for a moment and said, "President, do you want to take a big gamble?" With that, he turned and walked back to his seat. According to the national exams of previous years, each school has the right to design their own uniforms, right? You can request a document from the education department's leadership, as the 3 schools are merging and need to redesign the uniforms. The education department would surely agree to this kind of matter. And then our uniforms will become walking advertisements. This way, we not only get publicity, but also cover the cost of the uniforms. The president's mouth stretched all the way to his ears at this point. Making money is like a holy scripture to him. This kid is simply amazing. President then patted his chest, promising to himself that he would complete the task. Dallas couldn't help asking him like this. "President, are you also from the reserve forces?" Unknown_0 replied, "Yes, what's the matter?" "There's nothing wrong. I just feel like people who come from the reserve forces seem a bit unreliable." The student openly called the president a fool. The president chuckled and called him a genius. At this time, Bald Man Unknown_3 was already immersed in the money-making plan in Dallas. And Dallas, seeing him like this, couldn't help but worry. Bus driver is in the reserve forces. His team leader is also in the reserve forces. Now this president too. How come they all seem unreliable? The president has already started thinking about how to split the spoils. "Dallas, this idea is yours. I'll give you 60%, and I'll take 40%. How about that? Pretty generous, right?" Dallas looked silently at the president. The president felt a hint of unease for some reason. The president gritted his teeth and made a significant decision. "I have to save some face as well. The cost of making new school uniforms is not small. And this money cannot come from my personal pocket. Having the school's outstanding graduates wear your name is an achievement that cannot be measured by money." President Dallas, who increased the stakes again, nodded. "This is about right. Those empty titles are of no use. Money is the most important." When Dallas finally nodded, President Chong breathed a sigh of relief. I will go and print the contract. Let's write it clearly in black and white. Dallas shook his phone. No need for a complicated contract. I have already recorded it. He then walked out of the president's office. The president stood thunderstruck in place. If this money was not intended for school construction, but for personal embezzlement, does it mean that Dallas can use this recording to report himself at any time, and in the process, also reclaim his own money? In order to earn extra income, the president went all out. He managed to contact a bunch of advertisers within just 1 week. Dallas was stunned to see this walking billboard. He couldn't help but admire how resourceful the president was in drawing inspiration from one thing to another. And Dallas brought in Carson for practice in order to complete the task assigned by the president. Carson ended up simply taking a beating. Carson's awakened object is a sandbag. However, this is not just an ordinary sandbag used for taking hits without feeling pain. No matter the level of the awakened, as long as they strike their own power on Carson's awakened object, both the attacker and the target will receive a substantial power boost. Although Dallas trained with great enthusiasm, Carson suffered from bruises and swelling, not to mention, although the progress is great, it really hurts. The two trained like crazy. Duke noticed it. Ever since Dallas defeated him last time, he has regarded Dallas as a target. He saw Dallas crazily torture Carson. He gritted his teeth and charged forward ruthlessly, fighting desperately for the exam. And the result can be imagined. Another person ended up bruised and swollen on the ground, while Dallas, on the other hand, was leaning against the wall gloomily. Lewis approached to inquire upon seeing this. He thought that something had happened to Dallas. As a result, Dallas was just thinking, if a fight is required during the assessment, what should unknown_3 do on his own? After all, he can only kill, not fight. He is a student, but he thinks about killing every day. Why is it against the law? Ever since Dallas and the president negotiated a good profit-sharing deal, unknown_3 has been gloomy all day. Because in Sin Town, whether it's a competition or a duel, as long as he takes action, he can kill the opponent. Now that he has left Sin Town, there are all kinds of rules and regulations that directly restrict Dallas's performance. Observant Lewis noticed Dallas's abnormality. He suggested that Dallas could remove the arrows from the bow and crossbow, or make the blade of the dagger a bit blunt. This way, it can avoid injuring classmates during the sparring. But Dallas obviously refused to do so. Lewis once again touched Dallas' head. Do you still remember the veteran from the breakfast shop? He will be going to veterans camp tomorrow. Dallas was suddenly stunned. The rule for entering veterans camp is without family. He remembered that middle-aged man had a son. Moreover, enlisting in the reserve forces also meant that in this world, all his loved ones had left him. Then Lewis said another sentence, which caught Dallas's attention. Recently, Moj has been urging me to go, saying that I'm at the age to report to veterans camp. But I feel like at least being a teacher, I can still make a contribution to the human race. Therefore, I want to fill in your information. Say that you are my student. I count as a family member, so I don't have to go. Can it be done? Dallas looked at the man in front of him blankly as he made a heartfelt speech. He finally nodded and said, in agreement. The competition started the next day. Lewis took Dallas to the registration office. He reminded Dallas to do his best. With your skills and temperament, these are a piece of cake. I hope you'll not only take first place in Northern Desert City, but also take first place in Northern River City. And just then, a loud explosion came from a distance. Lewis frowned as he looked at the distance. It seemed not far from the school, or perhaps even at the school itself. The staff hurried forward to appease the crowd. We just received news that cults are causing trouble. Moj has already sent people to deal with it. Lewis reminded Dallas not to forget our agreement. Strive to take the first place in the provincial exam. That way, I can also brag that I am teacher of the champion." Dallas nodded in agreement, and then walked into the examination room. At the same time, Lewis turned around and ran towards the city. He was stopped by Moe's staff members, citing the danger inside the city as the reason. Lewis summoned his sword-awakened object. Member of the 308th batch of the Northern River Province Reserve Forces, Lewis guarding the Demon Pass for 2 years. It's my duty as a soldier to protect the human race. It's also my duty as a teacher to protect students. His selfless dedication and inspiring words stir up all the veterans present who are parents. One by one, they send their children into the examination hall. They then vied with one another in demanding to enter the city to eliminate the cults. Protecting the human race is everyone's responsibility. They all did not want to be absent. He grew up in Sin Town, where ruffians ran amok. Unknown_3, he has never experienced the warmth and coldness of the world. Unknown_0, because in Sin Town, there is only a confrontation between life and death. Even if it is his best friend, they may stab you in the next second. Lewis is meticulous in his care for Dallas nowadays. It has brought a hint of warmth to Dallas's cold heart. And at this moment, the sound of an explosion filled the entire city. Lewis reminded Dallas to study hard for the exam. He then charged into the city with a group of veterans. At the same time, the fugitives from the cults carried out a fierce attack on the school. The reserve forces drivers and others in the city blocked them. The bus driver secretly let people steal. Placed a small camera. These are not cults. They are just walking money. He learned from Dallas to get rich. He immediately picked up the awakened object and rushed into battle to kill all sides. Now the reserve forces will end the battle within 5 minutes. They will completely kill the cults here regardless of life or death. At that moment, Lewis's voice came over. Are the little guys from the reserve forces still so silly? Although it's amusing. Just a bit silly. Following behind Lewis was a middle-aged man smiling faintly. I remember him. It seems like he was crying every day when he first entered the reserve forces. In a blink of an eye, he has grown so much. Lewis waved his hand. Withdraw your military order. The human race has not fallen so low yet. You young people are fighting to the death. We are just old, not dead. The driver paused for a moment, paying no attention to the disciples of the cults beside him. He was suddenly kicked in the chest and flew backward. Lewis laughed and cursed. What a waste! Getting distracted during a fight. Are these reserve forces guys even capable? Then he raised the knife and charged forward. The battlefield is now under my control. You guys block these small fry at the city gate. Avoid causing more casualties. I will take people to the school to protect the students. At this moment, Lewis's voice was cold, and the light blue sword behind him seemed to sense something. It excitedly emitted a sharp sword cry, full of vigor. A showdown between justice and evil is about to begin. At the same time, a subordinate of Moj, master of the pavilion, quickly ran to veterans' camp. He found Sunny, who used to command 1,000,000 demons, sitting on a camp chair leisurely fishing with a fishing rod. A happy smile played on his face. He tried Dallas' method and hadn't needed to go out to find business for the past few days. If luck was on his side, he might make a fortune in a while. When he saw Master Lin, he immediately felt on edge. What's up with you always coming to me? Don't disturb my fishing. Go away, he said. Sunny looked wary with a hint of guilt in his eyes. He hoped that Unknown_1 hadn't reported their DVD selling activities again. This elder was scammed out of 300 yuan. His old face was beaming like a flower. Unknown_3 just because Dallas took him in. Unknown_0 tuition fees taught him new ways to make money. Now Sunny no longer sells DVDs secretly. He started developing his network and forming gangs to commit crimes. When Vice Master of the Pavilion came, the elder was surprised. He thought his identity had been exposed. only to see the vice master of the pavilion running to his side and bowing with fists. Junior Layton requests Senior Sunny to come forward. Sunny at this moment breathed a sigh of relief. Scared me. I thought I was caught selling DVDs again. Then he impatiently waved his hand. How old am I? If I activate the demon-suppressing pass with my current physique, even a gust of wind could blow me away. Layton is anxious and sweating profusely. Since the revival of Spirit Chi, almost all of our first-generation ancestors have died in battle. The second generation is also left with few survivors who are severely injured. Now, it is the third-generation elders who are tirelessly holding the front line. As the backbone of the seniors, we cannot do without your demon-suppressing pass. Although he spoke with great emotion, Sunny remained indifferent. As a disabled person, how can I bear the heavy burden of saving the human race? Layton clearly does not want to give up. He took out a box from his pocket. Inside was a pill. Sunny tilted his head, looked at the wooden box with no emotional expression in his eyes. He knew he had to consume what was inside the wooden box. He was still the Sunny who had never been defeated on the demon-suppressing pass city wall, but he had aged. This pill was enough to shape a new war god for the human race. However, Layton kept repeating one sentence. Please have Sunny make an appearance. There are internal and external troubles in the northern desert city. If Sunny doesn't take action to determine the outcome, he will be watching them die right before his eyes. Sunny suddenly stood up. However, his eyes emitted a chilling coldness. You are using the lives of ordinary people to threaten me. His voice was filled with killing intent. You despicable person. The disgrace of the human race. Layton was sweating profusely at this point. You can say that I am shameless. You can also think that I am using the common people to threaten you. I am now the last high-level combat power in the northern desert city. I have no strategy left to implement when traveling here. The elder sighed as he was about to pick up the pill box. At that moment, a voice came from a distance. Is the backbone of my human race about to come out of the mountain? 3 men in black robes walked over. Omnitheism Divine Messenger Elio has seen Sunny. Sunny couldn't be bothered to look at this person from start to finish. A brat from the cults. Bringing just these few things isn't quite enough. Elio chuckled. This is not important. Sunny, as long as you take this pill, the demon clan will launch a real battle against the demon-suppressing pass within 3 days. At that time, there will be devastating wars and battles. As a member of the human race, I can't bear it in my heart. But Sunny just took the pill directly and put it in his mouth. A surge of momentum burst forth from his body instantly. Just spewing frightening nonsense. You're nothing but rats caught between the demon clan and the human race. Don't flatter yourselves. Cult Small Fry actually openly provoked the war god of the human race. Unknown_0 Sunny, how can he swallow this insult? It's really like a tiger falling to Pyongyang and being bullied by dogs. All sorts of cats and dogs have come out. He immediately took the pill that Layton brought. The situation changed suddenly. A terrifying aura burst out from Sunny's body. At this point, Cult Small Fry had long been scared with their mouths wide open. He was betting that Sunny wouldn't dare to take the pill for the human race. But not only did he take it now, he has become even stronger than Sunny at his peak. How is this possible? Even if you have recovered from your injuries, you should only have had 7 awakenings. Why is it 8 times? But Sunny didn't want to waste time with Small Fry. You guys must have put in a lot of effort to plant undercover agents in Mo, right? You really think I don't know, huh? I was just playing along with you guys. Now, it's time for you to bid farewell to this world. He swung the awakened object in his hand and slashed at the 3 small fries. The small fries were cut in half. Before their deaths, they wanted to gather some useful intelligence. They were sternly refused by Sunny. Dead people should not have so much unnecessary talk. Small Fry finally gave up. It was swallowed down in anger by Sunny. Sunny looked at the pieces of the body on the ground. His gaze fell on the somewhat dazed Layton. Give Matthew a call and tell him he can close the net. Layton looked bewildered, staring at Sunny with shock in his eyes. I asked you to make the call, so just do it. Are you waiting for those demon kings to cause trouble? Acting confused every day. Are all you graduates from Spirit Mind Academy this silly? Layton took out his phone blankly and called Matthew. Sunny said the net could be closed. At this moment, Layton finally realized foolishly that this was a setup. You are actually fishing. Sunny sighed helplessly. Then he threw the fake pill he was pretending to eat to him. Indeed, terribly foolish. Let's go, I'll take you out to see the world. It's also time for settlement. A group of veterans watched as Sunny left. The figures behind him were shouting, wishing you a safe return. May there be peace in the world. Sunny didn't turn around. He just raised his hand, wrinkled with age, and waved it in the air. At the same time, Dallas walked through the exam site carrying a bow and crossbow. As long as he could pass through this crisis-filled forest, he would consider it a successful completion. At this moment, Dallas carefully observed the demons in front of him and realized that it was somewhat unrealistic to rely on the bow and crossbow for effective kills due to the demon's defense. No matter how powerful Dallas's skills are in hiding his figure, he eventually stopped in his tracks. In front of him was a complete blockade. He felt the energy fluctuations. For a moment, the demon kept roaring non-stop. They all rushed towards the direction of Dallas together. And Dallas put away his bow and crossbow. He switched to a dragon pattern staff. The most incredible thing is that there is a light gray crystal embedded on the dragon pattern staff, and he is already first awakening it. These are a group of fierce wolf demons. Unknown_0 As long as humans step into their territory, they will be eaten up without a trace left. At this moment, Dallas is holding his dragon pattern staff, with a shimmering crystal on top representing his first awakening. This is also his biggest trump card up to now. Dallas charged towards the evil wolf wielding his dragon pattern staff. In an instant, the staff emitted a dazzling light. The evil wolf hesitated and stood still for a moment in confusion. They completely ignored Dallas in front of them. Dallas, on the other hand, bent slightly and swiftly maneuvered around from the side. In this brief moment, the dagger in his hand plunged into the abdomen of the evil wolf. Soon, the evil wolf's body began to convulse violently. The wound area was also extensively festering. It writhed in pain on the ground. In the flickering moment of the crystal, almost all the other demons seemed to be similarly lost, as if they had lost their target. This is the ability brought by Dallas' awakened object. He can temporarily confuse his opponents. Dallas thus gave the dragon pattern staff a very fitting name, Trick Staff. He didn't wait for the wolf pack to react. Dallas began to slaughter ruthlessly like an evil wolf rushing into a flock of sheep. He quickly dealt with this group of obstacles in front of him. Just then, one fly after another, vultures charged towards Dallas, as if in a coordinated response. Roaring sounds came from all directions. But Dallas was not afraid either. Although he was not good at aerial combat, with the blessing of the dragon pattern staff, these avian beasts were greatly affected. The commotion quickly alarmed the invigilating teacher, who felt very surprised. Just 15 minutes had passed, and a demon had already died. According to the progress of previous years, this kind of situation should not be happening at all. It seems that there is a monstrous presence among this year's students. He flipped his hand, and a virtual map appeared in front of him. On the map, a red dot was moving rapidly, chased by a green dot. The invigilator teacher was shocked when he saw this. How is this possible? Someone is about to reach the finish line already. His fingers kept moving in the air. Soon, Dallas's figure appeared on the interface. At this moment, Dallas quickly dashed towards the edge of the forest. He had only one thought now, faster and even faster. He promised Lewis that he would try to take the first place. Soon, he would be able to see it. And just then, a tiger roar sounded, only to see a giant beast suddenly appeared, blocking Dallas's path. This was a true first-level demon. Dallas's eyes turned cold at this moment. It seemed like a murderous aura permeated the air. He took out several silver needles from his clothes. He threw the silver needle at the tiger. Several silver needles firmly pierced various acupoints on the tiger's head. And in Dallas's hand, he unknowingly held a transparent fishing line unknown_4, which had already wrapped around the wound on Tiger Demon's neck. This is the first awakening Tiger Demon, and also the final boss of this assessment. Unknown_3 now rushes towards Dallas, like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. Dallas pulled out a bow and crossbow and shot at the tiger. He then took out a fishing line that had been prepared earlier. He wounded around the tiger's head 3 times. Then he made a crisscross lock. With a click, Tiger's neck was twisted and broken directly. When Dallas got up, the Tiger Demon had already fallen heavily to the ground, lifeless. The first-level demon was killed in one hit just like that. But Dallas did not feel joy from killing the demon. He is now consumed with thoughts of Lewis's condition. He saw someone coming out of the teleportation portal. The invigilating teacher was stunned on the spot. He had been invigilating for over 10 years, and it was the first time he had seen someone coming out of the exam room in less than 20 minutes. Dallas looked at the dazed teacher and asked, "Excuse me, what place am I in?" "You are the first in the entire province. At least for now, you are the first in the city of Northern Desert." He remembered this young man. The person named Lewis said before he left, "Let him bring back a first place." And he indeed brought back a first place. Dallas nodded slightly, and silently walked towards the direction of Northern Desert City. The teacher hurriedly asked the student, "Where are you going?" "I am going into the city," he replied. The teacher decisively ran up to Dallas and stopped him. "No, it's too dangerous in the city now. Besides, you have wounds that need to be treated," he said. Dallas stopped in his tracks, and quietly raised his right hand. In his hand was the delicate bow and crossbow. "If you stop me, I will kill you," he said. Although teacher was momentarily stunned, he quickly reprimanded sternly. "Even if you kill me, you cannot enter the city. I must be responsible for your life." Dallas looked at teacher with some confusion, seeming unable to understand. Are they not afraid of death? Or is all of this just a show, a performance for themselves? But it seems that I am not worth it. Dallas then pulled the trigger without hesitation. The crossbow bolt was planted at the feet of teacher, its tail trembling lightly. Dallas walked briskly past teacher. "Thank you for everything you've done. I will be responsible for my own life. Please don't stop me now. Otherwise, I will really kill someone." At the same time, bus driver and others are fighting fiercely with the small fry of cults. Although the small fry of cults are not as skilled as the reserve forces, but they are numerous in number. Several of them were injured and seemed to be at a disadvantage. Lewis had already arrived at the school gate with his sword in hand. He met up with the president and others. They looked at the continuous emergence of cult small fry. He couldn't help but worry about the few people on the bus. It seems that they were not stopped at the city gate. He spoke and then rushed forward to attack the small fry of cults. In any case, he must hold on until reinforcements arrive. The president chuckled at his actions. He then turned to the students in the teaching building and said, "Kids, today I will personally give you a lesson. Those who harm the human race will be eliminated no matter how far they are." At the same time, he summoned his awakened object, which is a crimson sword. He dashed towards the small fries of the cults. "I've also been to the demon-suppressing pass back then. Just with you bunch of kids, you want to mess with my student. It's like a dream." He and Lewis joined forces with their swords. Wherever they go, they will leave behind the miserable cries of the cult small fry. Just then, a small fry dressed in a chef's uniform laughed. "You ignorant people. Cleansing the world of evil. Establishing a new order for the human race. That is what will give the human race a brand new future. You cult small fry are misleading the masses with your devil's words. Lewis also criticized that you talk a lot of nonsense. If you can't take it lightly, just fight back. Stop mumbling. Cult became angry and immediately swooped down. He flew towards Lewis and mocked. Not bad, this sword of yours. What's its name? Its name is Demon Burial. Unknown_0 Unfortunately, today it's cutting down a person. Unknown_3 Lewis forced small fry to retreat with a single sword strike. The person from Cults knew he was no match. He turned his head and swiftly left towards the school. Unknown_4 This made Lewis very anxious. Not good. His target is the students. Dallas could not even dream of it. The always suave and elegant Lewis teacher. He actually has such an embarrassed side. With the invasion of cults into the school, Lewis and the president shouldered the last line of defense for the students. The two of them played off each other to keep the cult small fry outside the school gates. Just as Lewis cut down Chef with one sword, Chef gave up fighting head-on with Lewis. He turned and raced towards the school at supersonic speed. This greatly shocked Lewis. Students are the future of the human race. If something happens to them, there will be a rift in the demon-suppressing past among the human race. He hurriedly rushed to the front of the cult small fry. He lifted Demon Burial and slashed out. With me here, don't even think about getting close to the teaching building. The powerful impact directly knocked the cult small fry to the ground. The disadvantaged small fry was instantly furious. He stared at Lewis with crimson eyes and said, "You have successfully provoked me." But Lewis is not an indulgent parent. I don't care about your feelings. Animals like you cause trouble for no reason. Take this sword strike from me. Lewis swung the Demon Burial heavily in his hand. But it suddenly startled him. No blood gushed out as he had imagined. Instead, his sword was blocked by the wings of the transformed entity. The small fry from cult smirked and revealed their own awakened object. Several arrow feathers shot towards Lewis. In an instant, it inflicted serious wounds on Lewis. Lewis's vitality is unstable as a whole. He was panting heavily. He's afraid he might really have to confess this time. Cult small fry didn't give him a chance to catch his breath. He rushed towards Lewis again. And in a moment, he unleashed his ultimate move. Lewis, who was half kneeling on the ground, suddenly exploded. At this point, he exerted all his strength. He exerted all his strength to throw the Demon Burial in his hand out. At the same moment, the attack of cult small fries arrived. A powerful force pierced through Lewis's left arm. He just wanted to end this battle by risking his life. At this moment, cult small fry dared not to believe what he saw in front of his chest. He never expected that Lewis would use himself as bait to lure him into attacking. He asked unwillingly, "What kind of belief could make you willing to give up your own life?" Lewis watched as sword pierced through the small fry's body. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. He covered the bleeding wound. You cooperated with the demon clan to betray the human race, and now you are scheming to harm the future backbone. Then I will make you die with no regrets. Those who harm the future of my human race will be executed. The teacher, in order to protect the students, exerted every last bit of strength in their body. At this moment, Lewis is soaked with blood. Unknown_0 vaguely heard a sound coming from afar. A familiar voice seemed to be approaching him. It sounded like Dallas. He chuckled self-mockingly. It seemed that people would have hallucinations before they die. How could he finish the exam so quickly? Dallas felt uncomfortable watching Lewis, who was covered in injuries. And Lewis rubbed his eyes several times to confirm. He couldn't believe it was really you, blurted out. Dallas was a bit silent, not knowing what he was thinking. He slowly squatted down in front of Lewis. I got the first Northern Desert City first. The provincial level still doesn't know. Hearing Dallas's voice, Lewis looked over with some difficulty. He grinned and said, I knew you could do it. You are the most outstanding genius in the eyes of teacher. A unique genius. Lewis paused for a long time after each sentence. Blood continued to flow from his abdomen onto the ground. Dallas looked at Lewis's wound in silence. Eventually he spoke. But you're dying. Lewis was indeed doing what he always said he would, fighting and guarding. He did not deceive himself. At this moment, Lewis was barely clinging to life. In fact, to me, death is a kind of relief. It's better than me lingering on like a useless waste. I really don't like being a teacher. He then took off the cloud pattern medal on his chest and handed it to Dallas. This is my proudest possession. Maybe it can't bring you anything, but it can at least prove that you are a martyr's relative from Sin Town. I use the honor of my lifetime to shield you. The medal was stained with blood. Dallas silently took the medal and looked at it carefully. Lewis slowly raised his head. He wanted to reach out and touch Dallas's head again, but his hand hesitated in midair. He was still somewhat reluctant to withdraw it. Dallas leaned forward gently, taking Lewis's hand, allowing that blood, which he always hated, to wet his hair. Lewis was stunned, then quickly smiled. No one has the right to make you change anything. You are who you are. Do what you want to do in the future. The rest of life is long. I can only send you here. I wish you a shining future. After saying the last word, Lewis's hands fell weakly, and he closed his eyes. The Sword of Awake also gradually dissipated in the air. At this moment, Dallas's eyes were invaded by tears. When he looked at those cult followers, his eyes were already cold and unyielding. The murderous aura emanating from him kept rising like a tangible substance. He rushed towards the small fry cult members with a dagger in hand. Each time his hand rose and the knife fell, one small fry lost their life. Dallas himself didn't even know what he was thinking at the moment. There was only one thought in his mind: to kill. The people of the cult should all be killed. The bus driver was visibly startled when the crowd arrived. What's wrong with Dallas? Unknown_0 is so ruthless with each deadly strike. Sonny at this time noticed something was wrong with Unknown_0. He looked at Lewis, who was sitting on the ground with his head down. This Unknown_1 may be the reason why Dallas went crazy. Dallas's beloved teacher Lewis has left. He died in front of Dallas just like that. This is the first time Dallas has gone crazy for someone else. He carried dagger to slaughter the small fry of cults. Wherever he passed, only the wailing of the small fry remained. Upon hearing the news, the bus driver stood dazed in place. The cruelty is just too much. What's going on in Dallas? Why is the violence so brutal? Sonny, who came along, discovered the clue. He shouted angrily and summoned his group of awakened objects. Lewis often goes to the veterans camp to visit the disabled veterans, especially those who have achieved great feats on demon-suppressing paths and have received the cloud pattern medal. Sonny spoke maliciously. Lewis, you can leave slowly. Today, I will seek revenge for you. Sonny went crazy and slaughtered these small fries of First Awakening and Second Awakening. Just then, a pair of blood-red eyes peered out from behind the bushes. After observing for a while, he whispered, I didn't expect it to be you, old fart. At that moment, a 100-meter-long giant serpent lunged out. The bus driver reacted upon seeing this. It let the cult small fry consume our fighting power first. Then, the Demon King will come out and take advantage of the situation. So this was their plan. Sonny has experienced many storms after all. He just smiled at the 100-meter giant serpent. As a gift for my introduction, the 6-star Demon King is worth the price. The giant serpent looks down on the injured Sonny, old fart. Back then, you were fortunate enough to kill the Demon King, but now you are in your twilight years. You are even seriously injured at the demon-suppressing pass. Do you think you can be my opponent now? But Sonny didn't waste any words. He immediately grabbed his weapon and charged towards it. Less talk. Hurt my human race compatriots, I will make you pay 100 times in blood. His domineering blow bombed Serpent Head. His blow, however, did not cause any harm at all. His attack was fiercely pushed back by the giant Serpent Demon King. I really overestimated you. It's been so many years. Sunny, you still have only this little ability. Its sarcasm ignited Sunny's anger. So much nonsense. Since you're so eager to die, I'll grant your wish. Get ready to accompany the former Demon King underground. With a surge of momentum in his hand, he thrust towards the Serpent Demon. The seemingly bulky Demon King dodged the attack with agility. Just then, the weapon slipped from Sunny's hand and was thrown towards it. Serpent Demon did not dodge in time. It was directly pierced 7 inches. Its 100-meter-long body fell heavily to the ground, with only a breath left, struggling to survive. Sunny walked up to it and spoke. Can't you stay in your own territory? Unknown_3 insists on invading the world of our human race. Only by wiping out your demon clan can we honor the thousands of heroic spirits of my human race who have died. I can only exterminate your demon clan in order to live up to the thousands of heroic souls of my human race who have died. Dallas has gone completely crazy this time. He is slaughtering the small fry of the cult with a dagger in hand. He turned around and looked in Sunny's direction. The spear behind him, adorned with 8 crystals, even though he knew the vast difference in status between himself and Sunny, but he no longer had the flattery. He stood tall with his sword at his waistboard. You are a senior member of Moj. Sunny nodded gently without objection. At the same time, he comforted Dallas. If your teacher had a spirit in the sky, seeing you kill so many beasts of the human race, he must be very pleased. But Dallas broke free from his palm. He turned and went towards Lewis, who was sitting on the ground. He silently lifted Lewis's body onto his own back. His slender frame carried Lewis like that. But he didn't leave. Instead, he looked earnestly at Sunny and said, I killed 23 cultists. Remember to pay me. The school has surveillance cameras. You can check for verification. After speaking, Dallas gradually disappeared into the distance with Lewis on his back. Sunny looked up at this, sighed at the azure sky. Perhaps this is the reason why I am unwilling to recover. I simply cannot bear to see scenes like this. Meanwhile, a telescope on the rooftop observed everything. A black-robed man could be seen angrily rebuking. Its target turned out to be Sunny. Is it using my people as cannon fodder? A group of idiots like you few. Even with some bad apples, attempting to kill Sunny is truly idiotic. He then put on a school uniform and draped it over himself. Looks like I still have to continue lurking in this crappy school. 3 days later, Dallas erected a monument for Lewis. He wrote his own name on the monument. He bowed deeply. I ranked first in the province. It's a pity you can't see it. He then took out the cloud-patterned medal that Lewis had before his death and bowed once again. It is your pride. I will be your greatest pride. I will come to see you often. At this moment, Dallas' back looks bleak. He seems to have turned back into a lonely figure. What Dallas did not expect was Sunny also showing up. But at this moment, Sunny was different, without the previous air of indifference. He silently walked up to Dallas. Has he been buried properly? Dallas nodded lightly but passed Sunny directly, without saying a word throughout the whole journey. Sunny stood still in the doorway without moving. Looking at Dallas's back, he suddenly asked, Do you blame me? Dallas paused and looked at him somewhat confusedly. Why would I blame you? Because Lewis died because of me. If I had been faster, maybe he wouldn't have left. Sunny spoke candidly, with no consideration for his hero status. Dallas is even more confused. Isn't everyone in Sin Town like Unknown_3? Why did you save him? Elder is a hero of the human race. Yet he bowed his hero's head in front of a young man. At this moment, Sunny's eyes are sincere. He no longer has the sleazy look when selling illegal DVDs. He mutters to himself, Cults are after me. Lewis also died because of me. If only I had come earlier. maybe he wouldn't have died. Dallas stared blankly at the elder. I think it's not normal not to save him. If it were me, I wouldn't save him either. Sonny was stunned. Dallas's logic is really hard to fathom. Then he said, I have recommended you to the academy. You are Lewis's pride. I hope you can live up to this blood-stained medal. Dallas stared blankly at the medal on his chest for a moment. He agreed and headed towards Lewis's address. Since Lewis passed away, the keys to this room were passed on to Dallas as a keepsake. Dallas looked at the cramped space and couldn't help but feel a sense of longing. After tidying up for a while, Dallas returned home. Soon, he heard someone knocking on the door. The visitor turned out to be the renowned thief known as the #1 killer, red-haired man. He asked arrogantly, Dallas, I have received an invitation for the military academy exam. I promised to help you kill someone in the past. Who do you want to kill? Otherwise, when my students return, my tasks will increase. It will be inconvenient to help you kill someone again. Dallas looked at the hot-headed youth speechlessly and then asked, What is your ranking in the exam? Dallas asked in confusion, Are you the 9th in the Northern River Province? The red-haired man scratched his head awkwardly. 9th in the Northern Desert City. It's too difficult to get into the provincial rankings. Dallas was speechless. Is the military academy so short of people? They are willing to take anyone, no matter what kind of person they are. The red-haired man noticed Dallas's disdainful look and hesitated for a moment. I'm telling you, the Northern Desert City 9th is not bad either. Tell me quickly who you want me to kill for you. Initially, Dallas was just making a joke. He didn't expect that the hot-headed youth took it seriously. I recently really dislike people from cults. Can you help me kill one casually? The red-haired man who got the message waved his hand. No problem. Wait for my good news. Dallas, however, grabbed him tightly. Killing cult small fry will attract a bounty. Since you helped me kill him, the bounty should be mine. The red-haired man sighed. You sure are fixated on money. Then, he curiously opened his phone to check how much money Dallas could get from him. It's fine if he doesn't check, but once he does, he'll be in for a shock. According to Moj law, the person who kills cult small fry will receive a bounty of 30,000. He took on a killer task only to earn a few $1,000s. I don't want to be a killer. I want to be a big hero. I want to kill cults and make big money. This scene happened to be seen by Carson, who came to see Dallas. This kid is probably a lunatic. He's not afraid that cult small fry will hear about it and kill him. Soon after, he knocked on Dallas's door. Got good news, he said. Dallas poked his head out from the room and asked, What good news? The academy invited me for an exam. Ha ha ha. Dallas looked speechless. It's just an invitation. Do you need to be so excited? Carson, however, has already started to imagine. Of course. The academy was established by Moj, a top academy that only accepts 3 students at most each year. Every graduate there is a reputable figure. In the future, I will be able to stand tall in front of my father. This time, I, Carson, have brought honor to my family. At that moment, a voice came from behind him. So you are Carson. You really made life miserable for me. The man just went out for a date. His son reported his biological father for living together illegally. His best friend even assisted. Wesson was directly detained for 3 more months. At this time, Carson is still talking confidently in front of Dallas. He is unaware that Wesson has appeared behind him. So you're Carson. You really made quite a mess for me. Seeing the newcomer Carson holding a mop, I suddenly felt nervous. Who are you? Dallas's father pulled Carson by the collar. You don't even know who I am. I am Wesson, the rogue who was framed by you for sexually harassing a woman and sent to the solitary jail. Carson was scared by the imposing manner, and cold sweat poured down. Is the world really so small? At this moment, Wesson was extremely angry upon seeing his enemy. If it weren't for my mistress redeeming me, I really wouldn't be able to repay you so quickly." Carson quickly started running. "Uncle, don't use your hands. Listen to my defense." But Wesson was already in a killing frenzy. "You little brat, I was just going to show the female police officer a palm reading. You reported me for harassing women. Watch how I don't beat you until even your dad won't recognize you." Dallas was also scared by this imposing manner, sweating profusely. Will he really deal with me like that later? Carson was forced into a corner. "Uncle, we have good times and bad times in life. Don't you bully the young and poor. I hold grudges." But Dallas's father won't buy it. "Who told you to meddle in other people's business? Do you really think the security bureau is run by your family?" Dallas, however, stood there dumbfounded and said, "I need to remind you that his father is the director of the security bureau." Wesson immediately stopped in his tracks. "So, I won't have to go back in and stay for a few more days, right?" Then he looked over at Dallas beside him and said, "I heard you had exams recently. How did they go? And how's getting along with your classmates?" But Dallas didn't want to waste time chatting with this non-existent old man. He walked straight past him. "I have something to attend to right now," he said. Wesson stood still in place, feeling relieved only after Dallas left. Why does this little guy exude such a strong sense of oppression? Just then, his phone rang. Seeing the number, his face suddenly turned red and rosy. It was Lily. "I haven't contacted you recently because I've been on a business trip. I didn't mean to ignore you. Is your husband home tonight?" At the same time, Dallas once again arrived at Lewis's house. He sat on the sofa in a daze. He looked at the cloud-patterned medal on his chest. He couldn't help but think of the scene before Lewis died. "This is my lifelong pride. Now I will use it to shield your identity in Sintown." Dallas then took out his phone. He dialed the number of the black-robed man, who also emerged from Sintown. Still so simple and straightforward. "I am Dallas, and I want to earn medals, but I don't know where the people from the cult are." The person on the other end of the phone clearly felt surprised. "Such a small matter. Is it necessary for you to use up one of my personal favors for this?" But Dallas touched the medal in front of him. "I think it's worth it. Since unknown_3 thinks this is a lifetime pride, then I'll take more. This is definitely the most glorious time for Baldman President." Since he had a big battle with Cult Small Fry, he suddenly became tall in front of the students. At this moment, he stood on the platform and loudly announced, "First of all, congratulations on completing your studies. You will one day bear the great responsibility of the human race. The human race becomes stronger because of you." At this moment, Dallas looks a bit dazed off stage. Unconsciously, graduation has arrived. It really went by quickly. Carson noticed that Dallas seemed preoccupied and whispered, "Why do you seem different today?" Dallas was brought back to reality by his words. "What am I usually like?" Dallas asked. Carson couldn't quite put his finger on it. "Anyway, I just feel that you are different today. But you should too. Have you received the invitation from the academy? When shall we depart together? I will go and buy the tickets." But Dallas glanced at him. "Haven't you thought about driving there yourself? MO Academy is on the side of J City. The road will pass through many Cult Small Fry's strongholds. I have already planned the itinerary route. You should think carefully if you want to go together. You may end up losing your life." Carson was unwilling. "How could such an exciting thing happen without me, Carson? Moreover, I know you are seeking revenge for Lewis." Carson's efficiency is very fast. He got an 8-handed antique car. Dallas was taken aback, although our Sintown has limited information flow. But we are not fools. Can this car still be driven? Carson quickly explained. Why wouldn't this car be drivable? This is something I painstakingly stole from my old man. Rest assured, it's absolutely reliable. He started the car without hesitation. Dallas, however, became a bit scared. Come clean, do you have a driver's license or not? But once he boarded the stolen ship, There was no way for him to get off. Carson stepped on the gas pedal. The car rushed out like a wild horse breaking free from its reins. What driver's license or no license? I have seen all kinds of porn in the world. Naturally, there is no mosaic in my heart. Let's go with a small fry from Cults. Dallas is speechless at his extreme appearance. He is really a hot-headed youth. At the same time, he took out Lewis's medal. Perhaps this is the meaning of living. At the same time, Master Lin, for enticing the enemy, disregarded the lives of all the human race in the city. He was punished by Mose and sent to guard the demon-suppressing pass. Genesis is also with him. The massive attack by the cults had a big impact on her. She is preparing to go to J City for some training. The undercover fake student at school received a phone call. The content was instructing him to go to J City to take out 2 students from MO Academy. By doing so, he will be able to apply to get rid of his undercover identity. He was extremely angry. The students at MO Academy are all monsters. What's the difference between going there as an ordinary Fourth Awakening and going there to die? But it seems like it's the day for freshmen to start school. So, he can only target freshmen now. Will Dallas become his target then? Carson is definitely a hot-headed youth. He made a solemn promise. This car is my father's treasure. Absolutely no problem. But he didn't expect that the car broke down after only a few kilometers on the road. Carson immediately slapped the steering wheel in embarrassment. Dallas, however, had long seen through his unreliability. I have an idea, not sure if I should mention it. Carson grabbed onto it like a lifesaver. What do you think? Don't delay our journey. Dallas shook his phone. I can report you for driving without a license. Then I'll use the reward money from reporting you to buy a ticket to J City. Carson went crazy in an instant. Don't go, what am I going to do without you? Dallas didn't listen to his sophistry. He directly took out his phone and made a call. This frightened Carson. Are you serious? Please don't call to report me. Trust me one more time, I must have a solution. At this time, a voice came from the phone. Is this Dallas? Didn't I already give you information about Cult Small Fry? Why are you calling again? Carson breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing the content. It turns out he wasn't reporting me. He really scared me. When did he learn to joke around? Dallas explained his situation over the phone. My car just broke down. I need a vehicle. You're the only one who can help in the middle of nowhere. The person on the other end of the line seemed surprised. Well, you owe me a personal favor, so I can give you a brand new mountain bike. Dallas thought for a moment and said, It's not a good deal. I know who the next person coming out of Sin Town is. This information should be enough for a trade, right? The person on the other end of the phone angrily slammed the table. Are you treating me like a fool? Everyone knows that next year the person coming out is the crazy girl next to you. Do you think I don't know? There's nothing I can do. I can only report your business in the black market. Then I'll use the bounty I earned to buy a new car. Masked Man chuckled. Dallas, do you think a desperado like me would be afraid of threats? If you have the skills, then go ahead. Dallas hung up the phone without even thinking. Poor Carson next to him was extremely anxious. It's the latest mountain off-road vehicle. Isn't it just a small personal favor? You should discuss properly before hanging up the phone. Before Dallas could say anything, the phone rang again. What's going on? Wasn't it just because of poor signal that the call got disconnected? It's not because of poor signal. I hung up. Dallas hung up the phone again while speaking. Carson didn't understand. It's obvious that they called to continue the trade. If you just give in a little, the car will be delivered. His words were not finished when Dallas's phone rang again. Don't hang up. Please don't hang up. Listen to me. I know it's a bit taking advantage of you to exchange a car for your personal favor. How about I just give you this car for free? But in the future, if I have any intelligence needs, tell me once without affecting your own interests. What do you think? Is that acceptable? Dallas thought for a moment and agreed to the deal. Soon, a brand new off-road vehicle parked next to the antique car. The masked man searched several times, but still didn't see Dallas. At this moment, Dallas is crouching behind a rock observing. Carson doesn't understand again.
Why are we hiding?
But Dallas tells him to keep quiet.
If he gets the chance, he might kill me. Why did you do something to make him want to kill you?
Dallas dropped a bombshell.
Because I killed his wife.
He never expected that Dallas was a major psychopath. Not only did he kill the person's daughter-in-law, but he shamelessly threatened to take away a car. Carson at this moment is full of vigilance.
I said, there won't be any issues with this car, right? Is it possible that a time TNT or something has been installed?
Dallas shook his head.
No. He knows I'm not easy to kill. If he really wants to kill me, he will do it openly and above board.
Under Dallas's command, the off-road vehicle raced along the road. They drove all the way to a closed factory. Dallas immediately ordered to crash through the gate. Carson, however, felt sorry like a child. This is a new car, and it hasn't even traveled 100 kilometers yet. With a loud bang, the brand new off-road vehicle directly made intimate contact with the gate. At this moment, the small fries from cults inside the factory were all stunned. Who dares to barge in? Carson was also stunned. Why are there so many people? Dallas, however, calmly handed him the prepared script. Read the lines on it. And don't forget to record the video. Cult Small Fry saw Dallas acting so arrogantly. They promptly summoned awakened objects to teach him a lesson. Dallas didn't hesitate to pull the triggers of the bow and crossbow. In an instant, he pierced the small fry's throat. At the same time, he tightened the fishing line in his hand. He instantly sent the small fry soaring into the sky. He still spoke confidently, saying that Cult Small Fry harms people. Today I, Dallas, will take justice into my own hands. Carson also made appropriate commentary on the side. Look at our classmate, Dallas. He is working hard to fight against the cultists. He is doing his part to help cleanse the human race of harm. As soon as he finished speaking, Dallas did the same. He resolved the last small fry right on time. He approached and asked if Carson had recorded it. Carson replied that he would definitely make you the most handsome male lead. At the same time, he asked Dallas to save him a small fry next time, as he also wanted to make a splash. Dallas nodded in agreement after looking at him for a while. You really should exercise a bit. But he didn't expect that this time the small fry gang was well prepared. They were crazily chasing after Carson. Carson directly cursed repeatedly. Come and save me quickly. Dallas, on the other hand, calmly took out a phone and made a call. I'm at a residence in the eastern suburbs of Yulin City. Currently, a group of Cult Small Fry are chasing a human race youth. No need for backup. Just come pick up the bodies. It would be best if you bring someone to settle the bounty. At the same time, Master Lin and Genesis were also following Dallas's lead. He took out the intelligence he had collected long ago and found a hiding place for cults. He was also lamenting the new money-making methods that Dallas brought to him. Just as Master Lin was about to take out his phone to record, he found the destroyed gate and ground, with some dried bloodstains on the surface. It feels like the money in his hand just flew away. Who did this? Who did this? Due to the crazy rampage of the two people in Dallas, the mysterious teenager killed the Cult Small Fries, setting off a bounty frenzy. Carson laughed excitedly. He was ready to team up with Dallas for another big job. Dallas, on the other hand, hinted that he should call it quits. Why? You should know I'm addicted to killing. I feel uncomfortable all over if I don't kill a villain in a day. Dallas looked at him with disdain. Are you the kind of person who vomits for 3 days and 3 nights after killing someone? Dallas continued to explain. At our current pace, with so many people killed, the cult should have figured it out by now. If we keep going, we are likely to be ambushed. Dallas's guess turned out to be correct. A group of cults from Third Awakening and Fourth Awakening gathered together. They were preparing to ambush and wipe out Dallas and the other person. But to everyone's surprise, Master Lin kicked open the door. Today, on behalf of justice, I, Master Lin, will take care of these small fry. The cultists exchanged a glance. Did they catch the wrong fish? No matter what, they just need to get to work. Master Lin had a look of disdain on his face. He revealed his sixth awakening. He directly killed the small fries with one blow, leaving only constant wails. Dallas, this bastard, almost cost me my life. Cult small fry invade the school. Teachers fought to the death to protect the safety of the students. And beloved Lewis, respected by Dallas, lost his life as a result. In order to seek revenge, Dallas and Carson destroyed multiple cult strongholds along the way. They successfully topped the local hot search list. Cult small fries also gathered together to wait for a windfall. Fortunately, Dallas saw through their scheme and stopped their motives in time. He raced to MO Academy with Carson to the reporting office. The hotel entrance was surrounded by reporters at that time. Carson was excited to see the reporters gathered there. Perhaps they will perceive us as a rising star. Dallas gave him a blank look. If they report about us, I think the cults would probably use it to show their power. Carson is too scared. Then I'll just stay honestly in the academy. If I don't come out for a year or so, I don't believe they dare to come to the school to kill. At one point, Carson and Dallas became the focus. Information about them instantly emerged from J City. Their names were also listed at the underground casino. The odds of successfully entering MO Academy are 1-to-1. Of course, you can also bet on the two of them together. Whether to enter MO Academy or get eliminated together, the odds are slightly higher. Paired with their fierce performance, countless bettors are placing bets at the same time. Compared to Dallas Carson, the young man in front of us is more straightforward and eye-catching. He carries a tombstone entwined with chains on his back, and there is an energy aura constantly spreading on his body. Usually, only when one is about to advance to the next awakening will this kind of reaction occur. This also means that the seemingly ordinary young man in front of us is actually about to undergo his second awakening. For a moment, he overshadowed the two Dallas. He also became a popular player at the underground casino. Even though the profits were small, there were still plenty of gamblers who, like becoming red-eyed, placed their bets on the Tombstone Boy. At the same time, the guards in the city who were guarding with only a second-level dog demon appeared to be on high alert as if facing a major enemy. They are preparing to inform the senior level of MO Academy to come and subdue the dog demon. Just then, a little girl ran over, shouting and asking them to stop. She said not to harm the guard uncles. At the same time, she bowed deeply to the fortress guardians. Sorry, uncles, she said. Whitey is my awakened object, not a demon causing trouble for everyone. The fortress guardians are shocked. A 12 or 13-year-old awakened object, that is a real demon, isn't it? But in the eyes of that demon, there is no cruelty but full of wisdom. And can she be considered as another unparalleled genius among the awakened? Because Leia, who possesses a demon as an awakened object, has also caught the attention of the underground casino. There is even a faint sense of breaking through to the top. Cult Small Fry also understands the situation of the freshman. Will his target then be set on the weakest group from Dallas? This school is on par with MO Academy, which is as well known as Sin Town. Sin Town is a gathering place for all sorts of sinister creatures. Then MO Academy is a gathering place for all top geniuses. On the day before the entrance exam, the gates of MO Academy slowly closed. At this moment, Master Lin and Genesis were cursing while looking at the tightly closed gates. Cults have been cleared by Dallas. We came to MO Academy, and even the door was closed. Let's assess the situation first. Who dares to brazenly close the city gate without permission? At this moment, on top of the city gate tower, A proud young man is looking down at the people below. Don't you rookies know that the exam of Manhwarecap has already begun from the moment you were invited? Now those who haven't entered the city will all be eliminated. Wherever you came from, go back there. A man dressed in a suit of beast fur. He looked like a wild man who had walked out of the deep mountains. He was over 2 meters tall, and his muscles were well built. He lifted a super large stone. He threw it at the city wall. A large hole appeared in the city wall instantly. The young people on the city gate were all stunned. Okay. I didn't expect such a great item this year. Feeling his gaze, young man in beast fur glared angrily. What are you looking at? Is there a problem with that? And this scene happened to be captured by Dallas. Dallas watched from a distance. He then glanced at the location of Manhwarecap. Does Manhwarecap have no rules at all? Vaguely, he had already guessed some thoughts of Manhwarecap. In fact, this is quite similar to the Sin Town mode. They always need to break free from conventional stereotypes. One cannot be bound by rules in their actions. Often, surprising moves lead to victory. Dallas turned around thoughtfully and left. In the deep of the night, he carried a sack and walked to the gate. Carefully checking around, he didn't find any cameras or monitoring devices. Then, he made a quick turn and jumped in. He spent over 2 hours inside before coming out. After carefully observing the surroundings, he turned around and left. What Dallas didn't know was that there was a person sitting on the wall above him the whole time. The person, dressed in pajamas, seemed to have fallen asleep, emitting no hint of human presence, more like an inanimate object without even breathing. Only his eyes were open, silently watching Dallas's actions. It was not until Dallas left that the person sat up slowly.
This little guy is interesting. Really cunning,
he muttered. So what exactly did Dallas do? It's true that people who are carefree and indifferent have good sleep quality. This is not a lie. Carson, this blockhead, is still sound asleep in the afternoon. The deafening snoring at this moment woke up Dallas. He looked over at the blockhead next to him, who had an expression of speechlessness on his face. Dallas, standing at the door, thought carefully for a moment. In the end, he still shouted,
"Time to wake up and start the exam."
But Carson showed no response at all. Dallas took out a small porcelain bottle and opened it. He threw it onto Carson's bed from a distance, then decisively turned around and walked out of the room. Carson, who was originally sound asleep, was awakened by a strong foul odor. A sudden howl of,
"It stinks,"
came from the room. Carson ran out in less than half a minute, saying,
"Did you poop on my bed? Why does it smell so bad?"
He knew Dallas might be a bit strange, but he didn't expect him to be this extreme. Dallas did not explain and quietly said,
"I need to prepare for the exam."
He then turned around and walked away into the distance. Carson looked at his watch in confusion. The hands clearly pointed to the number 6. Isn't the test starting in 2 hours? With your strength and the abilities I've newly developed, we will definitely be admitted. We don't need to go so early. Dallas didn't even hesitate for a moment. You can go back and sleep for another 2 hours. Carson took a reluctant glance at the room. But he quickly remembered the smell and his face turned slightly green. He ran to catch up with Dallas's footsteps. At this time, the entrance of Manhwarecap was already crowded with people. At this moment, the door slowly opened. A man in pajamas, looking sleepy, walked out. He absent-mindedly said,
"I am Gray, a teacher at this school, but I prefer being a boss over a teacher."
"Come in now and get ready for today's exam,"
he said as he stepped aside.
He counted the freshmen entering the room. Until only the last 3 people remained, Gray made a move. Although he was still in that lazy state, his gaze towards these 3 people was very bright.
"You've been eliminated,"
he said. The faces of the 3 showed confusion, but quickly turned to anger.
"Why are you giving us a reason?"
they demanded, with only the teen wearing glasses staying silent. He took out a bank card from his pocket and secretly handed it to Gray. I have money. There is a little pocket money in this card. I am willing to forego dividends and invest for free in your company. Gray's eyes showed a hint of mischief. I wonder how much pocket money it is. Not much, just 50,000. The first 3 digits of the password are 147, followed by, wait for me to pass the exam. Gray's eyes completely brightened. The lazy aura that was present on him disappeared without a trace. He looked at the young man as if he had seen a good buddy. I don't know how to address you, brother. Quentin, my grandfather is one of the 10 heroes of the Moes. Gray became even more trustworthy upon hearing this. Welcome Quentin to join us at MO Academy. Your arrival will surely add to our brilliance. His fawning behavior immediately made the other 2 extremely angry. You're being partial and cheating. I will go to the education department to report you. He is definitely the toughest student. He buried 12 pounds of TNT at the school late at night. At this moment, at the entrance of MO Academy, Quentin openly bribes teacher. The angry students who were rejected at the door are furious. They claim they will go to report it. Gray doesn't care about any of this. Quentin, please join the team and endure a little bit of grievance. Dallas, on the other hand, feels that this operation is only natural. The city was clearly locked down early yesterday. Any intelligent person would know to come early to line up today. Those who didn't come is it because they are stupid. Besides, this Quentin is able to solve problems with money at the first instance, cleverly demonstrating his quick thinking and timely response to situations. Could it be this factor that allowed him to enter? But when he saw the money-hungry look in Gray's eyes, Dallas knew he was wrong. Perhaps having more money is the decisive factor after all. There are also classmates who get up early and line up to express their indignation. He angrily asks,
Does the enrollment slot at MO Academy only worth 500,000?
It's said to be absolutely fair here. Now it seems really disappointing. Gray calmly puts the bank card into his pocket.
Young man, do you really have 500,000?
The young man proudly replies that he does not have it now, but when he reaches your age, he wouldn't even spare a glance at 500,000.
That's good, you're very principled.
Then he shouted to the canteen.
Who will help me escort him out? Reward of 1 credit.
Almost instantly, a person ran out from the canteen. He grabbed the rolling pin and hit the back of the young man's head in one fell swoop, followed by some finishing touches. Remember to call me next time you have this kind of business. At worst, we'll split the credit 50-50. The onlookers were all shocked at this moment. Isn't he the top student of the Lastion province's first place in the last session? Just a single credit could make him like this. Could he be ruined? Another person was scared with a cold sweat on his face. Are you kidding me? Just now, at least the skill shown was at the 4th awakening or even 5th awakening level. Upon hearing their whispered conversation, Gray walked over. Are you too hot-tempered? If so, I just happened to screen out a batch. It saves time instead of wasting it. Everyone chose to ignore his opinion at the same time. Just then Dallas walked out. Teacher, can I be selected directly without taking the exam? Gray immediately agreed. You are from Sin Town, Dallas, right? Congratulations. You are now a formal student of MO Academy. Carson was stunned. Is this even possible? Others followed suit one after another.
Teacher, I think I can also skip a grade,
Gray said, but he was ignored. Bring him away. He has been eliminated. Dallas has at least buried 12 pounds of TNT in the school. If I refuse him, MO Academy will be no more. You all have to accompany the funeral. You know nothing and act blindly. He looked at Dallas and said,
Aren't you afraid I dismantled all the TNT you buried last night?
But Dallas was very confident in his masterpiece. Through my observations these few days, actually, MO Academy is just like a Sin Town. As long as I don't really press the detonator, there shouldn't be any problem. Gray was immediately interested. It seems like next year, we should try to recruit some talented individuals from Sin Town. They are much better than these blockheads outside. the first day of freshman enrollment. He quickly played the teacher around in circles. Gray noticed Dallas's little movements early on. Because Dallas has a unique way of thinking, which is exactly the style of MO Academy. He rested his chin on his hand as he spoke. I'm a little curious. If I had rejected your request just now and eliminated you, would you have pressed the detonator on the phone? My precondition for pressing it is that it can explode. Gray was confused. You mean the TNT is fake? Absolutely impossible. I clearly smelled gunpowder. Dallas took out a firecracker from his pocket. According to Moj law, it is a serious criminal offense to privately possess firearms and gunpowder. The punishment is imprisonment for 5 to 10 years. I just carried some firecrackers with me to sprinkle on it. Gray then realized what was happening and exclaimed that Dallas was shameless to the extreme. The person next to him, loudspeaker, suddenly spoke up. Gray's invigilation misconduct deducted 50 credits. At that moment, Gray's eyes started to turn red as he glared fiercely at Dallas. If it weren't for this guy messing with him, there was no way he would lose 50 credits. Dallas, I'll remember you. I hope you can have a pleasant life at MO Academy in the next 3 years. Even if there wasn't the incident with TNT today, I would still let you enroll. Otherwise, how can I settle this grudge? The next moment, he fixed his gaze firmly on the remaining 40-plus students. He was like a starving wolf, hoping to get some blood from these people. Next, we will begin the first round of the exam. Please believe in me. As a poor devil who has just been deprived by the forces of capital, every one of you that I take away can earn me 0.8 credits. And I can guarantee you that this year, the exam will be the most brutal one, he said, as he turned his gaze towards Dallas. The content of the first exam. Engage in a 1v1 battle with Dallas. The loser will be eliminated directly. Dallas, as the first student to enroll in this batch, help me train the newcomers after they join. I think this is a duty that cannot be shirked. Dallas looked at him as if he were an idiot. Aren't you afraid that I will be the only one to enroll this year? Gray seems indifferent. What we emphasize at MO Academy is quality over quantity. It doesn't matter even if we have no students. Dallas says he understands now. It turns out that the enrollment numbers at MO Academy don't actually matter. What's important is the quality. Gray smirked maliciously. At the same time, he secretly gloated in his heart. This plan can be considered perfect. Not only can he openly retaliate against this kid, but he can also control the enrollment rate, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But he has no idea about Dallas' cunning. Dallas took out a QR code. For $10,000, I can throw the match. Payment can be made by scanning the code. If you want to try to beat me, that's fine too. But I have already been admitted, while you still need the exam. So, I can afford to lose, but you can't. Carson made a prompt decision. We young people should show an invincible demeanor among our peers. I admit that you are strong. But I want to challenge you, he said, and rushed to Dallas. He picked up his phone and successfully paid 10,000 yuan. Dallas immediately put on a look of discomfort. Good. So strong. Just the aura alone is making it hard for me to catch my breath. He directly fell to the ground and didn't get up again. Gray was extremely frustrated. Enough from the two of you. Do you really think MO Academy is just a place for entertainment? Cheating openly. He was more heartbroken about the $10,000. Why didn't he think of this solution himself? Just then, the loudspeaker spoke again. Once the exam content is finalized, no modifications are allowed. Otherwise, the invigilating teacher will have 3 years' worth of salary deducted. Gray was suddenly stunned. Mr. President, you old scoundrel. You have a problem with me, don't you? This petty and vindictive teacher wants to retaliate against the students. He actually openly set up a challenge in the school. As long as they have the ability to defeat Dallas freshmen, they will all be admitted to MO Academy. Dallas also has a way to deal with his harassment. Those who want to pass can directly scan the QR code to pay 10,000 yuan. Otherwise, just go back where you came from. The person who smashed the city wall is not convinced. He came out immediately to challenge Dallas. It's better for you to just admit defeat. Otherwise, I'm afraid I will strike too hard and leave you disabled. Dallas had no reaction. Instead, he glanced at Gray. Gray grinned widely. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started quickly. As soon as he finished speaking, Dallas moved as well. In just a breath's time, he had flashed behind Strongman. The originally gentle and amiable Strongman. His eyes instantly turned bloodshot. He didn't even care about losing track of Dallas. Vaguely visible, a series of red patterns was glowing inside his body. He stomped the ground forcefully, causing it to tremble slightly. The next second, as if sensing something, he suddenly turned around. His fist swung towards a spot behind him. But there was no one there. Strongman looked confused and asked, "Where did Dallas go?" Only Gray's face showed a faint smile. This little guy really knows how to take advantage of the blind spot in his field of view. He just woke up and already has such rich combat skills. Next year, we can really consider bringing in some students from Sin Town to try it out. Strongman was extremely angry at being played with. He immediately gathered his strength and leaped into the air. Unable to find it on the ground, he went to look for it in the sky. He didn't see Dallas's figure until he was 3 meters high in the air. Then he descended from above, throwing a punch at Dallas with the momentum of his descent. On the other hand, Dallas remained aloof and unaffected as usual. A long stick slowly materialized beside him. At that moment, a bewildered look appeared in Strongman's eyes. He punched straight into the ground, and his body also lost balance, falling down clumsily. Dallas slowly walked up to him and squatted down in front of him. He punched Strongman in the face. Strongman screamed in pain. Dallas took the opportunity to pull out a tooth and tossed it on the ground. The whole sequence of movements was done very skillfully, taking less than 3 seconds. Gray touched his chin and stared at Dallas. This little guy has some skills. He remains calm when faced with attacks. His strikes are clean and decisive. He even cut off the opponent's retreat. He is much stronger than some senior students from the previous competition. He slowly opened his mouth to announce Dallas's victory. At this moment, the loudspeaker sounded again. This Strongman is not bad. Let's make a deal. If you admit defeat, I will give you $10,000. Although Dallas didn't know who was speaking, being able to casually deduct Gray's salary definitely meant that person was not ordinary. $10,000 was the price before I took action. Now that I have made a move, if you want me to admit defeat, you'll have to add more money. The school openly sets up a platform for enrollment, where the winning students stay and the losing ones leave. Dallas quickly and easily took care of a strong man. The proctor was about to announce the elimination. The loudspeaker suddenly interjected. Dallas, if you admit defeat, I will pay you 10,000 yuan. Dallas rejected without hesitation. He had already told them to pay directly by scanning the code. But they insisted on trying to trick him. Now they have to pay extra. Soon the loudspeaker rang out. In that case, how about 20,000? We'll deduct it from Gray teacher's salary and give it to you. He nodded in agreement to the price. Gray is not happy. The transaction between you two. Why deduct from my salary? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Even if you are a school leader, you can't bully people like this. Believe it or not, I can set this school on fire. Gray's roar echoed on the playground in the campus. The loudspeaker suddenly said something that left Gray powerless to refute. Just because I am the vice principal, and you are a teacher, my words are the rule. Do you have any questions? Gray clenched his fists, his chest heaving up and down in anger. Through gritted teeth, he said, "No." Onlookers beside them found it unbelievable. Based on their understanding, this teacher seemed petty. Why did he choose to back down when facing the loudspeaker? Moreover, It sounded like the vice principal personally intervened to resolve the situation and conveniently took advantage of the situation to make things difficult for the teacher at this MO Academy. It's really quite stimulating. Gray suddenly turned around upon hearing their comments. Stop talking nonsense over there. Who's next? At that moment, a young man carrying tombstones slowly walked forward. Dallas, tilting his head, said,
"It will cost 30,000 this time."
As his voice fell, the tombstone boy's demeanor gradually turned cold. He gently shook his arm, and the iron chain slipped off. The tombstone fell heavily to the ground. The floor was smashed to pieces. At this time, the aloof vice principal interjected once again. Just remember to mention that Gray is responsible for the floor damaged by the strongman's hammer. As a teacher, failing to protect the school's property, 10 credits and salary will be deducted. Gray couldn't take it anymore. He turned around and threw a stone, smashing the loudspeaker to pieces. "I've had enough of you, old fart." Then he turned back and angrily scolded Tombstone Boy.
"If you dare to damage the floor, I will smash you."
At this moment, Quentin on the side suddenly spoke up.
"It's okay, you can smash it boldly. I have money. If you can seriously injure him, I will have an additional reward for you."
Gray stared straight at Quentin. He subconsciously rubbed his hands together. If he remembers correctly, MO Academy hasn't seen this kind of big shot in many years. As long as people have money, they really can do whatever they want. With Quentin backing him up, Tombstone Boy's fighting style becomes more fierce. The tombstone keeps slashing through the air, quickly cornering Dallas against the wall. At this moment, a small remote controller suddenly appeared in Dallas's hand. He pressed a button without hesitation. A loud roar resounded throughout the entire MO Academy. Tombstone Boy hesitated for just a split second. Dallas seized the opportunity. He pulled out a fishing line from his pocket. He tightly wound the fishing line around Tombstone Boy's neck. Dallas went crazy on the first day of school. Tombstone Boy used the advantage of his weapon to corner Dallas. Dallas pulled out a remote control and pressed it directly. The deafening explosion startled Tombstone Boy, causing him to suddenly turn around. In this brief moment, Dallas made his move. He took out a fishing line and securely locked Tombstone Boy's throat. He exerted force and directly separated him from his head. Tombstone Boy froze in place. He couldn't believe that it was all an illusion. Just now, he clearly felt the murderous intent from Dallas. The pressure Dallas brought him felt like he had really been slit at the throat. When he came to his senses, he carefully examined the academy and found no explosion had occurred. Moreover, it seemed like the sound just now came from the speakers. Taking advantage of me being distracted by the explosion sound, he suddenly activated the awakened object to disrupt me, then launched a sudden attack, bringing me into a life-threatening situation. It should be the thin thread in his hand. At this moment, Dallas looked silently at the fishing line in his hand. He almost made a mistake and killed him just now, relying solely on muscle memory. Now, he is no longer in Sin Town. It seems he needs to pay attention to this kind of subconscious reaction. At this time, the surrounding classmates were all puzzled. Just now was a great chance at a tombstone. He had the opportunity to get closer. Why not use fists or a dagger to solve it? That way he would have won. But they did not know the power of Dallas's awakened object. Gray heard their whispers and rubbed his chin in contemplation. These freshmen lack insight, and their combat experience is obviously insufficient. They can't even see through such a simple illusion status. But there's no need to eliminate them directly. Let them die a few times first to see if they can improve. Tombstone Boy generously admitted that he had lost. However, he still wants to give it another try. Dallas wouldn't do a business without making money. It's meaningless without profit. The broken loudspeaker suddenly spoke again. This person offers 30,000 for the deal. Then another 30,000 after another fight, deducted from Gray's salary. Dallas refuses. He's getting a bit dangerous. 50,000. At this moment, Gray cried out in pain. It seems that old fart found out about me receiving 500,000. If I don't hand over this money, he probably won't stop. Dallas is ready to start the fight as the price increases once again. And Tombstone Boy is not procrastinating either. I don't think I am very strong. It's just that I haven't used my true strength yet. So I will only use one move. Regardless of the outcome, I will admit that you are stronger than me, he said as he bit through his own finger. He was focusing on writing something on the tombstone. Dallas doesn't want to waste time. He aimed the bow and crossbow at Melvin's head. Write another word and I'll pull the trigger. Try me if you don't believe it. Melvin looked confused. The battle between the two geniuses shouldn't be like this, right? Why is he somewhat unfair? Gray sentenced him to death right away. Made a mistake. Melvin lacks combat experience and has a very high mortality rate. Now it seems that Dallas has a high probability of surviving until graduation. He can try to get more resources allocated to him. Then he said to the air,
"This kid is not worth so much. Old fart, you were wrong in your judgment. You pay this money yourself. Otherwise, I'll report you to the education department."
The loudspeaker responded,
"You are right. He is indeed not worth so much. From now on, you are expelled from the education department."
Gray was extremely angry.
"Why?"
"Just because I am the education department director. And you are destined to be a wage earner. This is an academy where geniuses gather. The so-called geniuses in Dallas' eyes. Just some ordinary muggles with clear price tags." At this time, another genius stepped forward and started to yell. Dallas calmly shouted to this muggle,
"It's 5,000.
The young man clearly felt the humiliation. Why do others get tens of thousands while I only get 5,000? As the top talent in the entire city, I won't lose to someone from that sinful town. But he was easily defeated by Dallas with just one move. Quentin complained as he stepped forward. MO Academy is not lacking in geniuses. He then looked around and said,
"This house looks very old. The academy should renovate it."
I heard that there is a new type of equipment that has just been developed. It can enhance the activity of cells in the body for better absorption of demon crystals. And there is also a device that can preliminarily test the compatibility between the demon core and the awakened object. Alas, I just started dozens of companies for fun. What should I do if I have so much money that I have nowhere to spend it? By the way, my potential is still not a loser, 9-stripe. Even before Dallas could act, the voice of the distant vice principal changed. It became sharp without the previous steadiness.
"Welcome, Quentin, to MO Academy. Congratulations on being the second student to pass this year. I hope you have a great time in the academy for the next 3 years."
His anxious look seemed afraid that Quentin might run away. Quentin nodded at Dallas and returned the gesture with a slight bow.
"Please, after you."
Shortly after, he stood behind Dallas, assuming a victorious posture. This makes other students unable to bear it. They spoke up to Gray about the unfairness. First, this Dallas was inexplicably admitted specially. Then those two guys who clearly lost were also spared. Now accepting such a loser just because they have money. Is this the MO Academy that everyone competes fiercely to get into? Gray looked at him quietly and said,
"I think it's quite fair. Perhaps you think we are trying to uphold what these people find unfair. But at the moment of their deaths in the future, they might think, why didn't they eliminate us back then? That would be truly unfair."
And there is no fairness to speak of in this world to begin with. At least none of those few guys you mentioned, who got special treatment from us can measure up to you in any way. Say it one more time, the rules of MO Academy are rules. Stay or leave. The person who is disciplined clearly does not comply. I will stay. But I do not comply. Especially this one called Quentin. What ability does he have to stay at MO Academy? Gray chuckled. Then you two should practice. The loser will be eliminated. Quentin shrugged indifferently. And the person seemed to be getting somewhat excited. He wasn't sure about taking on Dallas, but facing someone like Quentin, who relied on his family background, he felt more than capable. But when Quentin revealed his awakened object, he fell silent. It was a glittering gold ingot, emitting a golden light in the void, especially 2 crystals embedded on top. Even the extent to which he could perceive the spread of the energy. The distance to embed the 3rd crystal was not far either. The boy was stunned. He just realized that this was not something he could touch with his first awakening. Quentin chuckled and patted him on the back. "Brother, I'm just too lazy to fight. But that doesn't mean I'm a loser, understand? And MO Academy does not accept losers." Later, he slowly walked up to Dallas. Dallas heard that the seniors were all very abnormal. "I'll rely on you to cover for me at school in the future. I don't have anything else besides money." When all classmates are priced clearly. To request teacher's shadow area in the heart. At this moment, Dallas will announce its own price every time it helps a freshman enroll. However, what Dallas did not expect is that the girl with the pet actually had the highest price. The vice principal directly offered a sky-high price of $80,000 to plead with Dallas for mercy. Dallas, following the principle of not making money from those who have money, readily agreed. Gray glanced at the time and called an end to the first round of testing. "Everyone can eat now. But you only have 30 minutes. If you're dumb enough not to bring food, then you'll have to go hungry." After saying that, he took off running, as if he was afraid of missing out on the meal. But when he arrived at the cafeteria, he was dumbfounded. All 8 dishes were vegetarian. There was not a single meat dish. He looked at the students beside him, and couldn't help but call it shameless. To steal from the institution you are supposed to watch over is truly shameless. But the students burst into laughter. "Otherwise, why do you think if I get 1 credit, I am willing to come here and cook? By the way, I ordered the pill for relief takeout. Guess which dish you think it is? After all, there are 8 dishes. It's an 8th probability. I believe, teacher, you still have good luck." After saying this, the student ran out of the cafeteria in a hurry. Gray was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "You may run fast, but I'll catch up," he thought to himself. Just then, Dallas approached to get his food. Gray watched him closely, reminding him, "This is cafeteria food." Dallas looked puzzled and said, "Yes, what's wrong? I've already enrolled. According to the school rules, I can eat in the cafeteria." Gray thought about it and agreed. He then took a steamed bun and walked towards his seat. At this time, Quentin approached next to Dallas. "You are eating so hungrily. Do you know which dish has the pill for relief?" Dallas shook his head self-consciously. "I don't know either." Quentin's puffy mouth stopped suddenly. He didn't know whether he should swallow it or not. But Quentin is also a tough guy. Hesitating for less than 3 seconds, he swallowed it greedily. At worst, he would have diarrhea together. Someone will accompany him while he squats. Gray smiled and glanced at Dallas. He is still too naive. He said if he only gives 1 dish a pill, will he only give 1 dish? He seemed to sense his sarcasm. Dallas spoke lightly. "The pill for relief is in the steamed bun. That senior put a red capsule in the dough." Gray suddenly felt that the steamed bun didn't smell good. What a rip-off. Just as Gray was fuming, Carson cautiously approached. With a sly look behind him, he tentatively stuck his head in. "As a family member of a student, do you have the right to eat in the cafeteria?" Gray asked teasingly. "What kind of family member?" Carson pondered seriously for a moment. "Dallas is my half-brother." Gray, who was already angry, needed a punching bag to vent his anger. He scowled and snapped, "Eat sh*t." He punched Carson's awakened object, but then Gray suddenly froze. Blockhead, fools have their own luck. When everyone is troubled by the freshman exam. Carson actively sought out Gray. At this moment, Gray was furious. He punched Carson's awakened object. But then, it was Gray's turn to be dumbfounded. The punch on Carson kept returning energy continuously. Gray stared blankly, thinking this could directly elevate 1 realm. He quickly waved at the distant Carson.
Hey, big guy, come over here.
Was that your awakened object just now? What's its name again? Carson hurried to introduce himself. Yes, this is indeed my awakened object. Gray smirked and stroked his chin. He then punched Carson again. Then he smiled. That's right, that feeling. It comes with each punch. Part of the energy reverberates through my body, increasing my power. Congratulations. I announce from now on, you are my 140th third place student at MO Academy. For a true prodigy like you, MO Academy shouldn't have exams. It's an insult to you. I apologize for not seeing your talent before. I hope you could overlook the past and become my student after officially enrolling. As your teacher, I will guide you to become the best backbone of MO Academy and even the entire human race. Carson Gray couldn't help but smile as he watched Sandbag go to get his lunch. This Sandbag is really practical. When he unconsciously took a bite of the steamed bun, he immediately felt uncomfortable and broke out in a cold sweat. The pill for relief is really inside the steamed bun. He pointed at Dallas, who knew about it, and warned sternly. No one is allowed to reveal the matter of the pill for relief inside the steamed bun. Otherwise, I will fire him directly. He smirked and stared at the entering senior student. Surely I can't be the only one who fell for it, right? That would be embarrassing. Friendly reminder. The dish was made with pill for relief 7. Remember never to eat the steamed bun, he said emphatically.
There were still some traces of steamed bun on his collar.
The crowd nodded and chuckled. They casually cursed a few words. They entered the canteen without hesitation. One of them picked up a steamed bun and ate it. They even mocked Gray for using such tricks to deceive freshmen. If I believe you, then I'm a fool. The girl noticed something was wrong after just one bite. There is really poison in the steamed bun. Gray kept repeating on the side. Don't blame me for not reminding you. 7 was the one who poisoned it. The crowd rushed to the restroom one after another in a panic. They cursed 7 and his ancestors up to the 18th generation in their mouths. Gray pretended to remain calm. He then rushed into the bathroom at the speed of light. He quickly arrived at the second round of the exam, and this time the task was very simple. The goal of the beanbag game was surprisingly 7, who was cooking lunch. Everyone had to act alone. The task was to punch him in the face within 2 hours, record a video as evidence, and that would be considered passing the second round of the exam. If anyone can flick his second brother and record it, they can be directly recruited. Gray really holds grudges. This teacher is seeking revenge on the student. He even posted a reward task, as long as any freshman slaps the person in the photo. He can be admitted to the academy on the spot by passing the freshman exam. At this moment, the freshmen on the playground are studying together in groups. After all, the senior students who can enter MO Academy are undoubtedly very capable. And Gray's gaze falls on Dallas, and the other 2, who have already passed the exam. If it were you, what would you do? Quentin thought about it, and rolled up his sleeves without hesitation. A punch for 10,000. A flick for 100,000. If he still doesn't agree, then I'll keep increasing it. Until he agrees. Gray's eyes widened in shock. I was too hasty. I should have known better than to let him start school so early. This god of wealth must really have a lot of money and tricks up his sleeve. He then turned his gaze towards Dallas.
And what about you, Dallas?
Dallas first inquired about the other party's strength. Gray thought carefully. His strength doesn't seem to be very high either. It seems like he is at the 4th awakening, but I managed to sneak a pill for relief into him. He should be in a restroom right now. His stamina should have decreased a bit. Dallas thought seriously for a moment and shook his head. Dealing with the 4th awakening is not easy. If we could kill, maybe it would be easier. Not being able to kill makes it very troublesome. As for how to kill, he didn't say. What about not killing? What should we do? Carson confidently replied,
I think as long as I let him punch me once, he will be fascinated by me.
Gray nodded secretly on the side.
If this guy takes out his awake object and lets 7 experience it a bit, even just a touch or a pull would work. After all, who can resist a humanoid training device?
Just then, Leia suddenly came running in, excitedly shouting,
Teacher, teacher, I completed the task.
She then placed the recorded video in front of Gray. 7 was indeed in the deepest restroom of that building. Gray was taken aback. This shouldn't be happening. Even if he had taken the pill for relief and had mobility issues, he shouldn't have been taken down so quickly by a freshman. But when he saw the video, he was left dumbfounded. Leia stood in front of the bathroom door, shyly asking,
Can I touch your bottom a bit?
7 was dumbfounded by this peculiar interest. Leia blushed in embarrassment. It turned out to be the second round exam task announced by the teacher. Simply allowing someone to touch their bottom would secure them direct admission. 7 was going crazy. What do you think I am? It's impossible, absolutely impossible. But Leia once again gently asked to punch senior brother. In this case, the second round of the exam is also considered passed. And I promise not to use any strength at all. 7, who has been single for 20 years, couldn't resist the cute and adorable appearance, and his nose started bleeding profusely. In the end, Leia gently touched 7. Gray stood there holding his phone, lost in thought for a long time. He never expected it to end like this. However, this can also be considered a means to an end. He immediately announced that Leia had passed the second round of the exam. He then spoke into the hidden loudspeaker in the tree. This 7 is really incapable, choosing sympathy just because the other party is weak. If this continues, his life will be in danger. The loudspeaker is a bit embarrassing. It's hidden so deep. How did it still get discovered? This student is definitely the most pitiful one who got tricked this year, just because he put a pill for relief in the steamed bun. This led to him becoming the target of attack by all freshmen. Leia first acted cute and slapped 7. She successfully passed Gray's exam. Now he has been approached by Melvin from Tombstone. He thought it would be an epic battle. He didn't expect this man to be learning Carson's methods. He directly took out his phone and transferred 30,000 yuan to 7. He successfully recorded the video of slapping. Gray stared unbelievably at the video on the phone. He missed out on making another 30,000 yuan. You're alright now. You're worth at least 30,000 yuan. Just then, a strong man in beast fur ran over. But now he looks a bit pitiful. His body is covered in scars and bruises, like a pig's head. But there is a proud smile on his face. I hit him, but didn't capture it on video. Gray shook his head impatiently. Without the video, the exam is considered a failure. The strong man, however, spread out his hands innocently. I didn't record the video, but I did knock out one of his teeth. I'm not sure if that counts as passing the exam. Carson and Quentin on the side were shocked. This strong man is incredible. He actually knocked out a tooth of the fourth awakening senior student. The strong man smiled apologetically. He was squatting in the pit at the time. I rushed up. However, the senior is really powerful. Even if he falls into the pit, he can still beat me like this. If he had used lethal force, I would probably be dead already. Gray's mouth twitched slightly. He mourned 7 in his heart for a moment. You are not bad either. I'll count you as passing the exam. Go stand with them. Later, Gray announced that everyone could take a break. The third round of the exam will take place at midnight. However, this third round may be deadly. If you feel that you can't handle it, hurry up and withdraw. Admitting fear is nothing compared to losing your life. Later, he also instructed Dallas and the other 2. There's no time to assign you a dormitory now. Just go sleep in my dormitory. He seems to care about Dallas and the others on the surface. In reality, he is thinking dark thoughts. Those senior students will definitely not be easy to deal with tonight. He can't handle it himself when they go crazy. Tonight, it's up to you 3 to deal with the disaster. Meanwhile, 7 also crawled out from the toilet. He reeked of a foul stench all over his body. His angry expression was clearly visible on his face. Gray, you want me to use freshmen as a target? Don't you dare give me the chance. Otherwise, I'll feed you with shit. 3 men sleeping in one bed. Would you prefer to sleep on top or on the side? I don't know how you guys would choose. Unknown_3 chose to sleep outside anyway. After seeing Dallas leave, Quentin negotiated with Carson.
I'll give you $3,000. Tonight, you sleep on the floor and I sleep on the bed. How about that?
But Carson, though startled, is not stupid. Dallas must have had a reason for leaving at this time. Could it be because of those who were making a scene at noon? The senior student coming to seek revenge on the teacher. Carson figured out the whole story and waved his hand at Quentin. Teacher, you should take a rest. Quentin was a little confused. What's wrong with this blockhead? Didn't the teacher take someone out for the exam? He is really inexplicable. Indeed, at the moment when Carson pressed the switch, several figures rushed into the room in a flash in front of him. Soon, Quentin's continuous wailing could be heard. Carson chuckled. He took out a stink bomb and threw it into the room. Then he firmly blocked the door. He kept muttering to himself,
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Soon the senior student in the room noticed something was wrong. It wasn't Gray who was being beaten. They were eager to come out one after another. Carson, however, threatened,
Senior students, think it over. If you break out through the door, credits will be deducted. But if you agree to a condition of mine.
Carson hadn't finished speaking yet when a black energy appeared at his feet. The black shadow tightly wrapped around his ankles. Carson's entire body suddenly became stiff. He involuntarily opened the door. Several senior students rushed out of the room. Carson just returned to normal. Quentin crawled out of the room with a swollen nose and bruised face. Carson, you bastard. You betrayed me. Female senior kicked him into the foul-smelling room with one foot. If any of you dares to come out of this door, I will break your legs. At this moment, Quentin was venting loudly. Do you have a problem? Why do you have to pick a fight with this group of senior students? Carson, on the other hand, encountered the vice principal during the day. He mentioned that setting up a senior student reward of 10 credits, even if it fails, will earn 1 credit. Getting beaten up will earn 2 credits, and this is a long-term task. Quentin exploded. I don't need those useless credits since I am not lacking money. Carson is unusually serious. This is the style of MO Academy. You must integrate into it. Either fight or be beaten. If you always try to stay out of trouble, you will only be considered a mediocre waste of a person. Quentin was momentarily speechless. And Carson's words were also heard by the senior students outside the door. This junior is quite impressive. They then released the 2 of them and prepared to reward them again. Carson proudly said,
Female senior, do you believe it? One day you will beg me to hit you.
Female senior has never seen such shameless person. You don't have to ask, I'll hit you now. She was shocked by a punch. Energy continuously gathers from her fist to her body. She quickly summoned her small partners around her. Together they executed violence on Carson. And at this time, Dallas, who had hidden away, was crouching beside the grass. He wanted to see how far things would go. The loudspeaker was conveying quietly,
As long as nobody gets hurt, feel free to do as you please.
This academy is as long as no one gets killed. Unknown_3. The students can do whatever they want. Unknown_3. The vice principal encourages students to fight each other. And he provides credit support to students. At the same time, the loudspeaker also tempted Dallas to hurry up and fight. He also works part-time as the director of J City Security Bureau, so even if you commit a serious offense, it's not illegal.
I've always heard that people from Sin Town are very cunning and skilled. He wants to see for himself.
He was so disgusted that he lost 1 credit. After being frightened, he lost 2 credits due to fear. He got injured and lost 10 credits. Dallas understands clearly. What if it's a serious injury? 100 credits. Dallas installed 10 kilograms of TNT in the senior student dormitory. Holding the detonator in his hand, he couldn't help but think he should be able to earn a lot of credits this time. At this time, Carson was punched and kicked by Senior all night. His body has been emptied out. Quentin fell asleep in a daze for the whole night. It was just that Carson next to him was yelling too loudly, and it was a bit noisy. And a few senior students were discussing as they walked. Remember the 3 freshmen we saw in the cafeteria? It seems that this sandbag kid is clearly looking for a fight on purpose. He dragged a few of us to create an opportunity for his other companion. Let's wait and see. At this point, Carson also became energetic. You just wait and see. Do they really think I can be taken advantage of for nothing? Then he took out his phone and smiled insidiously. If I don't make a few hundred credits off of you guys, I'd really be letting myself down. Dallas, who received the message, had long stationed himself beside the loudspeaker. The senior student has just pushed open the door. They felt something was wrong. On their way back, they analyzed it. Dallas didn't return overnight. And everyone was in Gray's dormitory, so Dallas was most likely to have done something suspicious in their dormitory. Several people thoroughly inspected the dormitory. In the end, they found TNT under the bed. Several people couldn't help but complain. So ruthless. Are these freshmen all crazy? They even dare to use TNT. If those old farts make a mistake, we'll all die. The TNT is set to explode in just over 10 minutes. Several senior students quickly hid outside. They were planning to wait for an opportunity and then deal with Dallas. Just then, there was a loud explosion coming from the dormitory direction. 7 was completely stunned. This TNT of his is really powerful. It exploded when there were only 10 minutes left. If he had left a little later, he would have died. At this moment, the voice of the loudspeaker fills the entire school. There is 1 senior student in the 3rd grade. 3 senior students in the 2nd grade died foolishly. Each person deducted 100 credits. Dallas Carson, the killer, currently has a total of 400 credits. Carson was suddenly stunned. I knew that this old fart was up to something. We're doomed at school in the next 2 years. Dallas, however, turned and walked away. Don't panic. We still have some credits to collect. 2 freshmen just started school and already caused chaos at the school. Not only did the vice principal fail to stop them, he even excitedly rewarded them with credit. Dallas used TNT to blow up the senior student dormitory into pieces. The vice principal rewarded him 400 credits on the spot. This also made Dallas and Carson famous at school. 7 was so angry she was itching to hit someone. These 2 brats. TNT exploded with 10 minutes left on the countdown. Disgusting. Just then, he caught a whiff of a strong fishy smell. There was also a faint hint of sweetness. Right after, his brows furrowed. As soon as he finished speaking, a few senior students fell to the ground with a thud. The nearby female senior seemed to have anticipated it as if, "You're not afraid that I'll take all of you down. Hitting me won't earn you any credit. It's not worth it." They shouted towards the playground at the same time. I voluntarily give half of the credit for this operation to this female senior. Carson beside could not contain his excitement. This time, let me take the shot.